am not a bounty hunter. I've heard otherwise. I know that you sit on the throne of your former employer. Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to rule with respect.
You were all once captains under Jabba the Hutt.
I'm here to make a proposal that's mutually beneficial. Why speak of conflict when cooperation can make us all rich?
What prevents us all from killing you and taking what we want?
If you had spoken such insolence to Jabba, he'd have fed you to his menagerie.
Please, speak freely.
Oh. Welcome, mighty Chewbacca, and to everybody. Periodic table, the Chewta awesome. Sorry, I've got Quinny the Hutt, that's right. Welcome, everybody, to the Periodic Table of Awesome. Tonight we have a really special guest. We're so happy that he was able to join us from Mos Eisley or Esper or wherever.
Zooming all the way from Tatooine.
Yeah. Being the badass like he is, like a bantha.
It's Boba. Hey, Boba. I'm here. I'm going to
good.
be your crime lord
So,
now.
Boba, can you tell us? Oh, no. Leave the helmet on. Leave the helmet on. Jesus.
Sorry.
This is not the way.
It's not the way.
Sorry, I haven't
tell
got
us-
any kids.
Tell us, Boba. Tell us how you feel about the Book of Boba Fett, or as many people are calling it, the pamphlet of Boba Fett.
I like this book. It has got #1 bestseller for Oprah's book club. 3 galaxies in a row. I love it. Also, at Struggle Town. All right, it's off. It's off.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
No.
I don't know where the accent's going. I don't know.
No, it's not. It's not actually Tamara
Oh.
Morrison,
Oh my god!
but it was on par. But it was
and
on
here's
par
me
with the
thinking
show.
it was another clone.
Oh, I love how Struggletown, the video, was just like, I don't know which one's the helmet, what's the shirt, what's going on.
I do love
Christ.
Gene Genie is just like, oh, boo, it's just Dion.
Yeah, it's just like, well, I mean, what did you expect? For fuck's sake, you knew this was. Yes, thank you for that stunning intro, Quinny. I can't quite tell like what accent it was.
It was, I don't know, it was
Huttese.
attempting, I was
What?
trying to speak Huttese.
Oh, sugar.
Chinatoa, we wonky Chewbacca.
Oh, I bent my Wookiee.
Yeah, exactly. I love that very
Ah.
clearly the words wonky Chewbacca means mighty Chewbacca.
Yeah,
So
the wonky Chewbacca. Oh, yes.
everybody
I'm
can
having
speak
a
a
wonky-
little bit of Huttese.
I'm having a wonky, like, what's that, the droid that answers the door at the moment? It's just kind of like...
Man, why am I on this show?
You, oh, wait, is that...
It's just 2 5-year-olds talking to each other right now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Is it too early for this, Jill? There we go. That button is ready and willing and able
Never
for...
too early for a gonk.
I also
Yeah,
love that Jill's like, it's Friday, fuck this, I'm drinking.
Yeah. Oh,
Wait,
well,
have you got
fair
some-
fucking enough. Let's get into the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh man, I should have gotten a fucking drink. Okay, well, I'm gonna go get one in a minute. But anyway, welcome to everybody who's in the chat tonight. I'm looking at it; it's a very full chat. It's lovely
Is
to
it?
see a bunch of people
Excellent.
there that we haven't seen.
Everybody just wants to hear Dion dunk on Boba Fett.
Prepare to be disappointed.
What?
I know. All right. Like there's so much. I'm actually. It's great that people are here because
This is
after
not the fucking thing I signed up
I got my complete number of episodes mixed up completely, thinking there's 8 of them. They've got 2 more, no problem. I will see what they can
It's a-
redeem here.
Weird call to go for 7.
Yes, 7 is such a weird thing.
Especially considering that, and I remember that we'd had the conversation, we were having some lovely food, and Dion's like, oh, well, they've got two episodes to pull it back. And I'm like, no, dude, they've just done 2 episodes of The Mandalorian
And now they've
wedged
got-
in the middle of here, and they've got 1 fucking episode to pull it out of its ass.
I'm like,
And he's like,
no.
no, there's 2.
No, they're
I'm like,
not gonna. No. Also, I gotta say, fuck, it's hot. Like, it's the middle of summer, and now I'm like, oh god. But I got more Boba Fett underneath.
Oh no.
Fettception.
It's Fettception. It's fat on the inside and fat on the outside. Yep. But I'm not going all the way to Boba Fett. You don't get to see them.
That's a different kind of stream.
It's a different stream, and it costs more money.
What about the Boba tea?
Boba Teat?
Tea.
It's everything.
Suckling at the teat of Boba is not something I want to do. Like a bantha.
Payne here, go now to my OnlyFans. It's just Boba's teats.
What?
All right. It's a little bit different today because it's Friday. It's not the regular show. We're not going to do the same sort of thing. We're missing Peter because she basically didn't do the homework and doesn't give a shit. So, and that's fine. And I ran out of time to rope anyone else in because probably other people have opinions too. But so now you're stuck with me rambling for the next hour or 5. Where do we begin?
Sorry. I'm looking at the stream on one window and realizing how well you have copy edited my ticker text.
Oh yeah. No. Like I always do it just to go for brevity because like long jokes are funny. But when you're reading the bottom of the ticker, it's got to be punchy. You've got to just
I
get
know.
some,
I was enjoying it. Anyway.
All right. Well, that's good. Read the ticker. It's funny. We change it. We'll try to change it every week. And if you're not reading the ticker, you're missing out.
Admittedly, if you are reading the ticker, it's probably because we're boring the piss out of you. So
no, they're just listening to it. Maybe look, none of our people can fans could read.
What? Oh, wow.
Joke, Quinny.
Right.
What are we doing today? Okay, so today it's a little bit different. It's spoilers straight away. So you'll notice you will notice. Wait, there, yeah, spoilers straight away. We're going for spoilers. You'll notice that there are characters who appear later in the series, and there are spoilers here. You've watched the Book of Boba Fett. Everyone's watched the fucking Book of Boba Fett.
That's why they're here.
Yeah, the only person who hasn't watched the Book of Boba Fett is Peter, and we'll get to her later. But
we go to the Peter's but why section, and it's like, but why hasn't Peter watched it?
yeah. Because she's got class. Jill.
Oh.
She's got class.
Now, the thing that I like the most is I don't know why, but there's a little hand on my face.
Is that?
Oh, yeah. It's
That's
just
right. I'll stroke your beard. There we go. There you go.
Yeah.
Just a little scratch on there.
Thanks,
there
buddy.
you go.
Well, I'm not looking at what's going out. So.
No, you don't have to.
Talking about.
It's probably not. Something a little bit strange. Like I'm actually going to talk very quickly about Book of Boba Fett, and then I'm actually going to ask you what you guys thought of it very quickly, as in a quick rating, and then we're going to break it down. We'll go through each of the episodes and talk about them because I feel like there's only 7. We can do it pretty quick.
Cover this.
And I also want to know in the chat, like if you're in the chat, that's great. Interact with us. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why it's awesome. Tell me, the things that we missed or, bits and pieces like that. Or if you're listening to the podcast, just comment on the Facebook page or join the Periodic Table Star Wars spoiler discussion group.
Is this going out as podcast?
Yeah, why not? I can do whatever I want. I've got the power.
Probably.
It's on the Twitch.
I mean, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
All right, so we can get back to the very start of this. Everyone saw The Mandalorian, and everyone was excited when Boba Fett came and appeared in The Mandalorian, even though it was telegraphed like I don't know, a giant telegraph pole that he was going to be there.
Yes,
but he came back, and that's really exciting. And everyone went, "Oh my god, that's fun!" And you got glimpses of Boba Fett in the Mandalorian show. Really, he was there as a supporting character, but he took the back seat because his show wasn't his show. He's an adjunct to, Din Djarin on that show. It's Lone Wolf and Cub. It's Baby Yoda show. That's fine. And then at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, we get possibly one of the greatest end credit sequences ever filmed in the Star Wars universe. Not that they're known for their end credit sequences.
Yep.
Where, freshly minted, replastered Boba Fett, who's just left his good old buddy, old pal, Din Djarin doing whatever, after he's flown away after dropping him off at the Imperial space cruiser to save his surrogate son. Boba Fett just rocked back to Tatooine, just goes up and finds the fat. Oh God, I've had a brain blank.
Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna.
Yes.
Sorry, that's right. Yes, Bib Fortuna.
No, Fortuna.
Yeah. Oh, Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna.
What did he do since
Bib
Jabba died?
Fortuna.
He's eaten everything in the palace. That's why there's no one else around. It's just Bib Fortuna, and he's roasted everyone else. But it was absolutely fucking badass. He turns up, he shoots him point blank without any discussion, and then immediately seats himself on the old throne that Jabba and Bib Fortuna used to have. And then that was it. Cut to fade out, announcement made. It's Book of Boba Fett is coming and not season 3 of The Mandalorian. And everyone went, yeah, fuck yeah. We're going to do that.
Who did that?
Yeah.
Dion did.
I did. So you can color me excited when the Book of Boba Fett came out. And then you could probably consider me confused. And then there's other bits in there which just make me go, oh God. And I'm not sure exactly why. Well, I do. I know exactly what the things in there. But here's the thing. I really like the fact they did the Book of Boba Fett, but I think they did it the wrong way. And they did it too quickly. And they fundamentally did not get any notes about the character or understand a lot of notes about the character, or they did, and they just executed it completely wrong. I know. That's my hot take right there. It's going to be the hottest of hot takes, and I have exceptionally good hot takes on every little bit of interest which you can do in the breakdown. But I'm going to go right there. Book of Boba Fett is a great television show, absolutely horrendously executed. So
right.
There we go. I think the Book of Boba Fett is actually great. And if I was to read through all of the, just flip through all of that concept art that they usually, they play at the end.
Oh, man.
If I was to flip through that and go, this is the breakdown of each of the episodes, I'd be like, holy shit, this thing is going to be fucking amazing. And then when I saw it, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
In some places. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think if they'd made the show that was that concept art, we would have been fucking on our asses. Like going, this is so cool. It looks amazing. It's so frenetic. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I think there's just I think one of my biggest issues I have is they raise some fucking amazing points and some great concepts that come out of it. Like some ideas that are in there are like, this is mint work. But then they've also give us explanations of things we never wanted and we don't give a shit about.
I'm intrigued to know what something that it's raised.
Sorry, Jill, I saw you yawn there. You're like, nah, I'm off already. Dion's on a tangent.
No, I'm not yawning about you. It's fine.
Didn't even wear a Star Wars shirt. Come on, didn't you get the memo, Jill?
Look, I fucking forgot about it until we were started the trailer. I'm like, shit, it's too late to do it.
Oh shit.
I own 2 Star Wars shirts. Give me some.
Yeah. And I can already see there's a lot of stuff in the chat going on about specific things, and I'm like, oh yes, excellent. Like, yeah, they're definitely.
Look, we all know what are the things that bug the living fuck out of us.
Yes.
But there are other parts about it that we are. I think you've made an interesting assessment of it, D, which is it's a cool idea executed badly. I don't necessarily agree with that because I think it is a fucking basic bitch concept executed badly.
Ooh.
Like it's a whole bunch of ripping shit off from other films, which is Star Wars. I know.
It's like, I'm sorry, you've watched Star Wars, right?
I know, but it's a whole bunch of like, okay, what's the storyline that you're going to go for? Okay, we're going to try and do Boba as a gangster with a heart of gold, who's
the Daimo.
Yeah, he's the Daimo of this thing. So
a Daimo is something you use to measure the out horsepower of a car.
Yes, absolutely.
A daimyo is something taken completely wrong from Japanese culture.
It is, absolutely.
Why the fuck you would start mixing Jedi, which are the samurai, and daimyo, which is not fundamental misunderstanding of things.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that I think that it is a really fucking basic and obvious take on who the character is and what this storyline could have been. Like, if you want to tell, and I've said this to you, D, and other times, if you're going to tell a fucking story about Boba Fett and you're calling it the Book of Boba Fett, like, explore some of his fucking background. And I thought we were going to get some of that for a little while when they're talking about him and the Tusken Raiders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what we've had so far of Boba Fett has been a bit of him in the Clone Wars where he was a kid, like in the Clone Wars cartoon, and then a massive gap where nothing, we've seen nothing, and then he shows up in Empire, or technically in the holiday special, and is this badass, and he's got a reputation and everything's, he's somebody that people go, oh shit, Boba Fett's here, fuck.
He's the best bounty hunter in the galaxy.
And then you've got this bit where he falls into a pit, and then you've kind of got this story now, which is old Boba, and I kind of looked at it when they started. I was like, oh, are they doing like an old Conan type thing where it's like, he's the man who's forced to sit upon a fucking throne that he doesn't know what to do with.
Yeah.
But what he is an idiot. Like, throughout this entire fucking show, this is not a dude who has been the best bounty hunter in the galaxy. This is a dude who's a fucking idiot.
Look, and I mean, look, a lot of this, and I don't want to dwell on the stuff that comes before, the pre-Disney, the non-canon explanation stuff, because there is a lot written about it, and we know people who wrote Boba Fett and character motivations, personally, and we also have read it, and he's been in books, and he's been in comics, and he's been in the franchise for a long time. And there's been, he had a whole story about what happened to him in the Sarlacc pit that's come out pre-Disney. And we all know that Disney has drawn a line in the sand and gone, no, that's not what we're talking about. We're not going to be doing that. But then they walked back a lot of other things, bits and pieces that they wanted to pinch from. And I don't understand why they didn't pinch all the good bits for Boba Fett, whereas they pinched, there's all this stuff out there. They pinched stuff from the Droids cartoon.
Yeah.
And they didn't take stuff from fucking, what happened to him. Like, it's so weird.
In some of the books and stuff
the decision-making process of which bits are going to take. And I mean, these are the things that I really respect about Filoni, and I really respect about Favreau, is they are going deep nerd stuff, but the reason why and the execution is very shoddy. And that's when it's, you can take something and pull it out and go, oh, that's referencing this and that's a really deep cut. But, unless it's done well and you like it, then you're like, oh no, that's terrible. And it felt like that way to me with the season. I kind of felt like the first few episodes and everyone's like, okay, we really hate this show. And then when it took that turn and it's like, oh, and the Mandalorian's back, it kind of felt like they're like, can we just jam 2 episodes of like season 3 of the Mandalorian?
Let's get to that later, because I think
get him in here.
That is a massive fucking thing that I've got a big issue with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Jill.
Yes.
I want your opinions on this.
Yeah, look, I can't say I'm a mad fan about this show. Like, it feels quite odd as like someone that kind of walks the line between being a hardcore fan and a normie when it comes to Star Wars. Like I'm learning. I watched all of Clone Wars, and I don't think I would have enjoyed these shows as much as I have if I hadn't watched Clone Wars.
I mean, Cad Bane is something that is most enjoyable because of Clone Wars.
And especially like the Ahsoka storyline that we got in Mandalorian,
Sure.
and all of that jazz. But I mean, Book of Boba Fett just feels weird. Like it's walking this kind of no man's land of like side character quest that doesn't really deserve its own show. I mean, if you're gonna, like Quinny said, if you're gonna call it the Book of Boba Fett, why not go into his history? Like, yeah, we know of him from like Empire, where he's like this cool dude that doesn't take his helmet off ever, and then you blend that in with like the Mandalorian lore of like what that means for them that we've seen in the Mandalorian. So like how do we get Boba Fett, you know? Like why wasn't this story like an exploration of who he is as a character besides this dude that just showed up in Mandalorian? So like give some people a bit of context.
Yeah. And I find that was, I think you're absolutely right. Like that, one of the most frustrating things about it was it played with the timeline, but it played with the timeline of things that were very like interesting, like people wanted to see. Yeah, you want to know
like what happened to him after Empire. Go back before that.
Yeah. Like there's an opportunity.
You know, like you mentioned about like, okay, so what happened after the Clone Wars to Boba, and how did he, you know, get in touch with his Mandalorian side, like as a clone?
Yeah, and they alluded to that slightly in the Mandalorian series, and I find that's Sorry, Quinny.
Okay, and there's give him his own show, then explore it further. Don't just tell like some random story about what happened a couple of months ago.
And the thing that kind of shit me a little bit about that is that they occasionally like edged up to it. Like there were a couple of shots of young Boba on Camino, looking at Django flying off, and I was like, okay, well, this is okay. Give me more of this. Tell me more about who Boba was as a kid, and what not having a father around did to him. You know,
because I mean, you kind of put him in this position now of like, okay, well, he's going to take over Mos Espa and the crime syndicate and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, but why? You don't have any of his motivations because we don't understand him as a character. Besides, he was, you know, backstabbed by being kicked off into a Sarlacc pit. So, you know, he hasn't really earned anything.
He wasn't backstabbed. He was accidentally hit by a blind man with a kick-ass cane. And he fucked it up, and like that was the kind of weird thing.
Which was kind of like a lame ending for him.
Okay, so I really want to get into these breakdowns of bits and pieces, but what I want as a overall kind of question is, what did you think of the series? Like, did you have a good time with it? Were there things in there that you really responded with?
Stuff that I took away from it that I liked.
Yeah, and do you think it added to the Star Wars universe? Like, do you think it is? Yeah, I know that's one of the biggest problems, isn't it?
It didn't. It added to the Mandalorian universe.
Yeah.
And like, so why give him his own show? Why not just like expand the Mandalorian show to include spin-off episodes with Boba? You know, like, oh, here's half an episode where like we're checking out what Boba's doing in Mos Espa now.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Mando. And like just to have it as like, okay, so we have this gallery of characters in this one TV series and we follow their different stories. It's like that could be a thing.
See, that's absolutely. I kind of absolutely agree with you on that one. It's like there is no problem with calling things the Mandalorian, and you just follow a different Mandalorian. Like, why couldn't you have had a season of Bo-Katan?
Yeah,
because you got to say it Bo-Katan, because at the same time, because it's not Bo-Katan. But her name is Bo-Katan Kryze, so whatever.
Gonk.
Fair enough. So when I get something right, do I get to play my other soundbite? Look, I think that I had a really interesting time because the Book of Boba Fett comes up with some really fucking great ideas, and the times when it does greatness, it does it so well. And I actually really loved some of the concepts that they played with because it added depth and breadth to the not only the Star Wars universe but also the character. And like we'll go through a lot of that, but unfortunately, it's just patchy. And this is the thing that really threw me. Like it's even narratively or in explanations of. Hang on one second. I'm still thinking about that. I just realized that my window's open and I'm getting rained on.
Okay. Well, while
I
he's
could use
while
a
he's
little bit
talking
of
about
that.
that and getting rained on, I will say that like the show. Dion asked the question, "What did I think of it?" I think it was a mess. Like, and I enjoyed it. It was like an Eton mess, you know. There were lots of nice bits in it, and there was a bit over here and a bit over here, and there was a lovely little bit of yummy sweet stuff there. But
why is there flour in it? Why is there sawdust in here?
Yeah, but then occasionally there were a few things in there. I was like, oh fuck, that's oh god, no, what is that? And at the same time, I felt like somebody had grabbed it all and just gone on a plate.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
I'm
I
just
feel
remembering stuff now about how there were like points in the show that just never got rectified as storylines,
or inserted
there
for
were
no
all
reason.
Of these threads that just were going all over the place, and we didn't know where they came in, and we don't know where they ended.
And there's only so many like Easter eggs or nods or hey, look what I know. Like I know that this is a thing from Star Wars that is already established, and I just want to chuck it in there for fun. So the real nerds will get it, which is I think a terrible kind of thing to do when your show starts to rely on that a little bit. Like, I'll talk more to that a little bit later, especially if you're like you don't need to rely on any of that shit because you've got Boba Fett. Now, Boba Fett is the character that everyone knows that had minimal screen time and maximum effect. So you know that character is pretty much golden. If you do it right. Yeah, if you do it right. But unfortunately in this one, I don't think they did it right. Because I have less respect for Boba Fett now than I did prior to watching this series. And that's fucked.
And okay, there is an interesting thing, and I don't know whether we talk about this when we get to episode 3, but like when we were watching it, the first 2 episodes, I think people were like, "Oh yeah, righto,
we'll go somewhere." We'll go somewhere.
Yeah, we'll go somewhere, and then it takes a fucking hard left at episode 3, and throws a lot of people out of the cart on that hard left.
Look, those first 2 episodes, I was thinking, who's this for?
Yeah. Look, and the same thing happened with Mandalorian. Okay, there was a few episodes in the first season that you're like, what was that for? What's going on there? I don't really understand. And a couple in the second series where you're like, it's not great. And then it comes back, you're like, oh no, it's fine. No, it's fine. We understand. You were building something else. It's fine. You need to mark time here to get to something else. In Book of Boba Fett, I feel like it's too rushed. I feel like there was just this thing of like basically Disney after the success of the first season of The Mandalorian, Disney's like, okay, go, everyone go. We're going now. Like the films for Star Wars are shelved and you're all going with television now. Go. And they kind of pushed, Filoni is just going, well, I want to do Ahsoka. So they're like, fine. They've spent so much money on sand for the first season of The Mandalorian. They're just reusing it. So that's why everything's set on Tatooine. Because the volume is a hard place, like it's a very expensive set. So, and they already bought the sand. So, we'll do all our Tatooine shows at once, which is getting real annoying. I'm real bored with the Tatooine bit. I don't need to see more Tatooine.
So there are other planets.
Yeah, there are.
And even when they went to another planet, like I was kind of like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
It still didn't feel like a particularly interesting other planet.
That feels like Setsville.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, look, okay. I think we need to get into this breakdown for each one.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have a rating, Dion? Like, because other people in the chat have been dropping.
Yeah.
Do you have a numerical rating?
I am really, and this is hard. Like, I'm giving this about a 50. Like it's so yeah. I think that the terrible episodes of Boba Fett were redeemed by the amazing episodes of season 2.5 of The Mandalorian in the show, but it's still because of that, and because of where it all lands and where it starts to put things, it's like this is a 50-50. It's not a great show, but it has greatness in it, which is so, and that's why I find it so deeply, deeply unsatisfying. Yeah, like I'm just
Okay,
stuck
so
on-
you're a 50 on this.
yeah, I'm like
I thought I was going to rate it low. Jill, do you got a number? I mean, you don't have to.
It's probably been around the same-ish
Yeah.
area. Yeah.
I feel like
Yep.
I feel like Anakin. You know, I'm torn between Emperor Palpatine's pool of hate and bitterness towards everything, and I don't know
Look, I'm not
his
here
love
to,
for Padme. I don't know.
to shit on it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
it
not-
needed a bit of work. It needed a bit of polish.
Yeah.
But it wasn't terrible. Gave us some good stuff. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
like a 60 or something.
60,
I
you're
don't
even going
have
up.
to give it
Like,
a
yeah,
number.
people are here and there's like, oh, Dion's going to shit on it. I'm like, I kind of am, but I also, here's the problem. There is stuff in this I absolutely fucking loved.
Mm.
And I'm just, and the most of my hate or my bitterness comes from the fact that they did not give an acceptable roundup to those pieces.
I don't think they really gave Boba the justice he deserves.
No,
Yeah.
in the series.
no, if you're hanging-
They
if-
kind of did him dirty.
That's
Yeah.
my biggest complaint about the whole thing is that if you're going to do a show that's called The Book of Boba Fett,
Yeah.
for fuck's sake, look after Boba Fett.
Yeah. And I
I
like,
mean, like he seemed like a bit of a meathead that thought he was like tough, but was like kind of giving off a bravado facade, and it's like, who is this idiot?
there's,
Like,
look, there's
he
a,
just kind of rocks up, and everyone's like, yeah, we don't really give a shit about you, dude.
there's a
Yeah.
kind of, there's
I'm
a
like,
weird,
wow, there's like no respect for him from any of the other characters.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you take this guy seriously?
I have there's I think Dark Rider in the chat has just said I needed more time in the writer's room. There is no writer's room for Book of Boba Fett. There was none. There was a series
Really?
of there's a series of concept art, and then they're making dialogue on the fly, or they're writing it before they say it. That's what it feels like. I'm not sure. Like, if they try to come to me and tell me that they had written all of these episodes in every single line of dialogue for these characters before they started shooting the first episode, I would just be like, you're lying and you're full of shit. Because you did not do that. Because the dialogue in this is kind of pitch perfect for fucking Star Wars. It's terrible. Star Wars dialogue is terrible. You know? It's like,
Yeah, I
she
felt
seems to
bad
have lost the
for-
will to live. Dead
I felt
lady.
bad for
Boba.
Ming-Na,
Yeah,
'cause it
too
kinda
bad,
felt like
too bad.
she was really trying to work as hard as she could with what she
Oh,
was
yeah.
doing.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking oath.
I mean,
Alright.
I really like her character. I like Fennec, and I think that she's a cool addition to the Star Wars universe. But man, Ming-Na was trying really hard to make that work.
And in the last episode, especially, I was looking at it going, oh, you poor fucker. You
Mm.
have been given.
You could tell when she was given lines, and she was not feeling.
Yeah.
Or she
not
just didn't
feeling the
understand what they were for.
lines.
Oh,
There was
look,
the one
let's-
where she was like said something to those mod kids, and I'm like, oh, that
Oh,
was. contrived.
I want to get to that fucking
Oh, yeah, that-
final episode.
Episode 3 and episode 6, 7
Seven.
are
Yeah.
big moods. Okay, so
Um,
should we do that? I
yeah, go-
realized I need a beer to do this.
Go for rating.
So-
I will put on a little chat.
Oh, sorry,
about
my rating's 50.
50.
I
you
think
go
it's-
50. You're in the same.
Actually-
Oh, right.
I'm actually no, sorry, I'm going to go 45 because of the episodes that were about Boba Fett
Yep.
that had Boba Fett in them,
Yep.
there were 2 that I thought were, pretty good. The rest of them I thought were kind of shit. The other episodes that didn't have Boba Fett in them at all were great.
Yep.
So I'm not rating that show. I'm rating on the show that is Boba Fett. And yeah.
I'll give you a little caveat before we duck to a clip so Quinny can run out off and get a beer.
I'll go
'Cause
get a
of course
beer
not.
whether you got a clip or not. I don't care.
It's like, fuck. Much like the show, it's like, oh, what's going on? Fuck, I don't know. I'm just gonna get a beer.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
here's a really telling.
Like a bantha.
Here's a really telling thing for you.
It's our new catchphrase.
Straight as the like a bantha. We've like when they announced one of the toys that was for this, which is Boba Fett's E3 blaster, which is his kind of blaster rifle that he has. When they announced it, I didn't buy it. Like, and that's a big thing. I've been waiting for this kind of thing for years, you know, and they announced a Nerf version of this kind of thing. And I'm like, that's fucking cool. I could finally get one of those things that I've always wanted, like, apart from make it yourself or whatever I could have done in the past. But I was like, yeah. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, I don't need, like, I don't want the stuff in this. Like, you know, I want the Bad Batch toys because it's fun. I like, you know, the Mandalorian toys are amazing. Like, I bought a fucking Darksaber. Like, come on. Like, I'm down for shit. But when it came to Book of Boba Fett stuff, I'm just like, if they release like a giant Rancor, I'm just going to be like, nah.
Even with Boba on the back?
Nah.
That was kind of badass, though.
That was one of the only parts I liked about the last episode.
It's a sneaking problem there. I already have a Rancor that has someone riding it on the back in a toy form.
Is it a Dathomir Witch? Or?
Yeah, well, it's from the Force Awakens computer game, and they released one of a Rancor with someone riding on the back of it, and I already got it. And I was like, I already got one of them. Don't want no one. Anyway, interesting. I'll do that.
I'm sorry. I'm just loving the chat. Like OzW is like, you know, hating on the car building session, and Casper's like, don't shit on the car making montage. That was great.
Which car making montage?
The building of the Starfighter.
So car?
Oh, I like
not a car.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All the way. By the way, this is the first.
It was a car building.
This is the first. This is the first on-screen interspecies relationship confirmation episode. By the way, so that's something we'll get to a bit later. Yeah, because Jawa's fuck. Anyway, on to the
Rotini.
Yeah. No.
That's all they're yelling. Whenever you hear Jawa say Rotini,
you don't want the.
They're just saying, "Show us your tits."
You don't want the Utini one. You want the Umaxi. Anyway, off we go.
Jabba the Hutt once sat upon that throne. You all accrued wealth and riches under Jabba. You can again. With this man, Boba Fett.
What prevents us all from killing you?
Why speak of conflict when cooperation can make us all rich? I am not a bounty hunter. I'm the crime lord now.
The Book of Boba Fett.
Crime.
Oh yeah. I'm the crime lord now.
What crime?
What fucking crime?
There was no crime.
There was
Alright,
no crime. There was no fucking bounty hunting.
Posing. There was a lot of walking around town doing finger guns at people and finger gunned back.
Yes, all you're right, you chuckle fucks. Let's get through this shit.
This would have been cool if
Cheers,
there was
motherfuckers.
crime.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Be
I think
Boba,
this
do
fucking
crimes.
show
Like,
was
fuck's sake.
a basic bitch of a series that was like, we've got a character, let's turn him into a good guy. Fuck
yeah,
that.
no, I don't.
Dialogue, thank you. I love
Look,
that.
there was, that's just Star Wars. Star Wars is crimes against dialogue. You know? There's a fundamental problem that I see stemming from something that is more about the marketing aspect of and accessibility for people or audience that I don't think actually comes from people who know or love the character. What is the point of Boba Fett? Boba Fett is the galaxy's greatest bounty hunter. He's a bounty hunter that's so ruthless that even Darth Vader is like, he's not even intimidated by Darth Vader. This is the establishment of the character we already know. Even with the special editions, they added scenes of Boba Fett basically chatting up two chicks in the background of Jabba's palace. Yeah, kind of.
Oh yeah, I remember the under the chin.
Yeah, doing that. And then he gets his ass handed to him by a blind man and a kid who's got a fake hand. Like, it's quite funny.
Man,
it's
the Sarlacc changed him, dude.
It's kind of like the it's kind of like that thing where he's a bit too arrogant and he got knocked down a peg because of shit that just fucked him up. But the stuff that I really wanted to see from Boba Fett was, why is he that badass? And when he came in and was reintroduced in The Mandalorian, he displayed little of it. It was a bit jarring to me because I went, this is a bit piss, because it seemed like it was just it seemed like a collaborative thing between Tamara Morrison and Robert Rodriguez, and they're just like, yeah, and then we do this, and no one is in the background going, that's dumb. But we went with it because it was fine, and I
didn't mind him in the Mando.
in the Mando, it was fine because he was still badass. He fucking took out an entire squad of stormtroopers by himself when he got his armor back. He was even kick ass before that. He still kind of served, the Mandalorian before he had his armor back, and that was kind of cool. One of the big things, the telling factors I could see the change in the wind was when Disney just has removed the name of Boba Fett's starship, and they've just obliterated it. So it was called the Slave One, and now they've just called it Boba Fett Starship, and they've removed all trace, as they will never refer to it. And I understand the reasoning.
Slave's a dirty word.
Yeah, and I understand.
Call it that anymore.
Yeah, and I understand that they could very easily
Prisoner with jobs ship.
Yeah, prisoner with job. Yeah, absolutely. They could easily have done that in the series by having it renamed for a good reason, and it would have been fine. I mean, one of the coolest things that they wrote in the comics of one of it was like someone blows up the Slave One, and they're like, "Yeah, like we finally destroyed the ship." And then Boba turns up in like the Slave Two, and he goes, "You didn't think I just had one of them, right?"
Well,
and that was like
something I loved from the books as well, where this was one of his biggest regrets, is that when he named his ship, he gave something away about himself by calling it the Slave One, because it indicated that there was more than one of them.
Yeah.
So it told people that he was worth more money, and he hated the fact that that was what he'd done. Like he'd let any information out about himself.
There's
So
a
I was
whole,
like,
there's a whole
that's
thing.
the kind of thing that's interesting.
There's a whole thing about Boba Fett that's it's previously established. And I just want to get through this before we hit chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land, where Boba Fett basically at the time before he dies or gets eaten by the Sarlacc, he is wealthy enough to buy multiple planets. He basically sits like a dragon on a treasure hoard, and he's incredibly bored. And he doesn't hunt for money anymore because he doesn't need any money. He hunts for difficult prey because that's his challenge. And he has basically it's a bit like Kraven the Hunter or one of those kind of characters. And that is interesting, especially when you add to it the fact that his father was killed early, and you don't really know too much about him. And then you find out he's a clone. All of those things make it very interesting. And I think it's just such a letdown in the series where you find out that, wow, a lot of these cool ideas were just pissed on. And then the new cool ideas that he gets introduced, also pissed on. All right.
Yeah, well, and yes, they do. Okay, right. So we're talking about the first episode?
Yeah, let's talk about Stranger in a Strange Land, directed by Robert Rodriguez and written by Jon Favreau. As I said, not so much writing, just more like concepts. I think that there's the thing written by Jon Favreau. If Jon Favreau walks into a room and just yells out words and feelings, it's not writing.
True.
There. All right.
I'm just reading through the thing of going, okay, what happens in the episode?
Well, these are the things you actually you find out. Like, how did he get out of the Sarlacc? You have that great thing, exactly like Patton Oswalt described to us in the filibuster of Star Wars from Parks and Recreation, which Quinny didn't watch, where Boba Fett's gloved hand bursts out of the sand. And that was kind of shot by shot of exactly what happened. And I was like, well done, Patton Oswalt, for, are you a writer on The Simpsons? What's going on? And they're explaining that thing. Like, he's inside the Sarlacc. The Sarlacc is eating him. It's other things. He's managed to, survive being eaten. I think they really lost a trick when they didn't explain why you get slowly digested over 1,000 years, which is kind of, maybe it was a bit too much of a nebulous concept from being the Sarlacc being a psychological vampire, and it keeps people alive is too much to do in the series. I'm fine with what they did there. But he managed to get out of the Sarlacc, and then, of course, immediately had all of his shit stolen by Jawas. That's what they do. And I like that. Like, if there's one thing that these shows are getting right about Jawas is, that's what Jawas do. They run around and they steal shit from people.
It's pretty racist, Dion.
Well, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's part of their culture.
Trying to tell me that every single Jawa is a thief? Because that sounds like a racist fucking stereotype that you are now we know that they are furry, greasy, and they fuck. We are humanizing the Jawas, and yet you are still persisting with these old school ways of thinking.
We'll get to the Jawas
Shocking.
later. All right. And then it's doing this backwards and forwards kind of thing. And I got to the point where watching the Book of Boba Fett, I knew that every time I saw Boba Fett in a Bacta tank, I knew we were doing a flashback.
Like a Bacta.
Like in Bacta.
Yeah.
And that's annoying. Like when you see that and you see every time that he's in a Bacta tank, he's going to do a flashback. You're like, oh, great, it's a flashback fucking episode. I mean, that was just one of those tricks where I was just kind of like, this is dull. And I got that by the second episode. But then, yeah, the next weirdest and strangest thing is it's Boba Fett. He has established himself as this crime lord on Tatooine, but then he's got to go around and make sure that everyone's going to pay tribute. And that's weird. And exactly what Jill said earlier, it's strange because he's just walking around with his helmet off, pointing and finger gunsing at people. And it's just kind of like, oh, right, you know, like I sort of see, like, sure enough, he had, you know, the people come to him first and be like, okay, who's going to pay tribute? And then now I've got to go out. But that tribute was really dull and really boring and only about 2 minutes because we don't know anything about the crime syndicates on Tatooine. We don't know how Jabba's, you know, crime family was organized. And there was an opportunity there to explain how stuff happens.
Which they do a little bit later on by talking about the different people, like the Aquilition, the Niktos and stuff like that. Like it explains it later, but in this first one, yeah, there is that weird thing of him just wandering around and, you know, people going, hey, you should probably be on like a fucking a dais or something, like look like you are somebody.
Yeah.
And
I'm like, why you want to be man of the people? Don't you want to rule over these dudes? You don't go around and like show your back to people.
Also, this is the thing, and I think one of the greatest failings that they never pay off. They always refer to it, and it came back in the last episode, is that apparently everyone is having a shit life without the protection of some sort of crime lord. And you never see that. You never interact with the people of Mos Espa or Mos Eisley. You never, you know, get to understand why life would be better off with Boba in charge. Like, there's no explanation. There's no world building as to the why. It's the Peter's, but why? But why does anyone give a shit about whether or not Boba's in charge? Because Boba's not doing anything for them.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Because like Bim Fortuna took over from Jabba, and you would think that like he is immediately filling that void of like, okay, well now I'm in charge and I'm controlling all of the stuff, but I'm probably going to benefit myself a bit more. Then Boba steps in, and then suddenly there's like no action.
Yeah, there's nothing.
I'm like, well, where did it all go?
There's no. I'm looking at it and going, for fuck's sake.
Trading and agreements and all this kind of stuff just ceases when like.
Where's the money going?
Like, yeah, I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be stuff that's already in place that you're going to have to step in and take over from. So why is it just dead all of a sudden?
And if you're going to do it,
out at the fucking palace doing nothing.
Do some Sopranos shit. If you're telling a story about a crime lord stepping into a power vacuum, go down the fucking path of crime. You know, like have him do a bit of fucking showing people who's boss.
Yeah, he rolls up into town and it turns out the mayor's actually doing all of the crime, and it's like, okay, well, what was Bim doing?
Yeah,
and what was Jabba up to?
It's just inferred. Like there's no real villain, and this is the thing in the Book of Boba Fett, there is no real villain because they don't know who they need to create. Like there's no person that you can't. You're not hanging your hat on anything, and this is the thing I think was done really well in The Mandalorian. You could hang your hat on it. You know, space Nazi Imperials person was bad. You know, we always know that in this one, it's just like, oh, is someone in charge? Who's in charge? These people. We've never met them before. What's going on? Like, it's just, it was just very
there a
strange.
Struggle for the power? Like, why is Boba coming in and saying, okay, you're out, I'm in, and then there's no struggle for that power? Because there's got to be somebody there that's not going to agree with it.
And we saw that briefly in the second episode, I think it is, where they bring in the twins.
Oh, we'll get to that. Okay,
I'm
still in episode 1. I just gonna say,
okay,
that's only half. That's only half of episode 1. Like
the other half is the whole thing.
The other half
the Tuskens.
And this is the part where I was going, these are great ideas. Okay, here's some interesting shit. All right. The stuff with Boba at the moment and trying to run, after he's taken over, that's boring.
Yep.
The stuff that was interesting is, he's been found by a Tusken in the desert and they've taken him as a slave. And now he's got to basically just survive because, he's horribly burnt and he's really, sick and everything. And that's when the interesting part of the series grabbed me. They were the hook. So here's the thing. It's like Boba Fett as a crime lord, bored as shit. Boba Fett as I have nothing and I've been, basically abducted by Tusken Raiders. Fascinating. Let's go. That's interesting. And that's why I found it really unsatisfying by the time we get a little bit later on.
Well, especially because, I mean, initially the Tusken Raiders are presented as being, cruel and vicious and assholes. And, then he slowly starts to win them over and you're like, okay.
Yeah. And
let's see where this goes. I mean, he does fight a fucking Ray Harryhausen monster at the end of the first episode. And I was like, really?
But that, I hated that. I hated that monster when it first came out because it was like, I've never seen this before. What's going on? And then when you kind of understand it's a Harryhausen nod, you're like, forgiven.
See, this is something else I fucking hate about it is that all of the things that are just, they're nods, it's a nod to this, it's a nod to that. Like, I don't care. I mean, if it still makes the thing shit, then you've nodded at the wrong thing. Check your nodding.
Rob's hot take: Dances with Banthas.
Yes, absolutely.
Dances with Banthas is amazing. I want to see dances, except that it was
Dances with Banthas,
like a bantha. Yeah, okay, we're getting there. But that was the kind of setup for it. Like the first episode was this thing where it's like I'm really weirdly jilted by this strange Boba Fett trying to be normal. And then
good, nice.
But then I look back and I go, oh no, here's Boba Fett crawling out just trying to be a survivor and getting immediately enslaved by see, this is where they could have done that thing of like, I've been enslaved by the Tuskens and now I know I can't call my ship the slave because I have been a slave. That's very easy. That's lobbed up there, like for fuck's sake. Anyway, yes, but see, that's where it hooked me. I wanted to watch episode 2 because of all the Tusken stuff. I didn't give a shit about Boba as a crime lord.
No, the Boba stuff as a crime lord wasn't working. So, okay, that's that. Oh, and the big thing is they give him a melon at the end of the episode.
And that's fine because it also establishes one of the things is like, who is that Tusken chief and why is he so badass? Because he doesn't lift a finger. Everyone else does all the stuff around him. He's got a whole tribe of people doing it and some badass warrior wife, I guess, But he's just standing there looking on and everything. And I'm like, that guy is going to fuck some shit up when he gets angry. They were the drops that I was excited about in the series. I'm like, these are the good things. Here's the interesting shit I want to learn about. All right. So that's why I say episode 1, I'm like, bit mixed. But, get to episode 2, which was the tribes of Tatooine. And I'm like, sorry. I forgot there's one last thing that happened in episode 1. Is when they eventually went and saw Garsa Fwip, the Twi'lek, remember the Twi'lek thing, the Twi'lek dance club, which I really enjoyed seeing. Max Rebo definitely survived.
Yep.
And Figrin Rodriguez, if anyone hasn't noticed it, the person playing guitar, I'm going to call it space guitar, is Robert Rodriguez as a Biff musician in the background.
Space mariachi.
Yeah, and another kind of cool thing is that the droid that's dealing the cards is actually the droid that runs you around on Star Tours if you go to Disney.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool. Like these are the little nods and bits and pieces.
Is the Sanctuary what they're doing at Disney with the Star Wars LARP stuff?
Oh.
Could be, but that's on a Star Cruiser. That's the
sense.
Galactic Star Cruiser, and it's different.
But I mean, that would make a lot of sense for them to
look. As long as there's 2, half-naked Twi'leks offering to clean my helmet.
Yeah, because I have like this weird recollection of watching some trailer for the Star Wars LARPing stuff, and they were talking about the same.
Oh, that got deleted.
Yeah. The Star Wars
Disney.
LARPing stuff was because everyone went, "This is terrible. I'm not paying you $17,000 US for it."
It was the Sanctuary. And
Probably.
it had that yellow Twi'lek lady.
Oh,
yeah. and it's gone now.
But
Well,
the
they
but the
put it in this
stupidest
show.
the stupidest thing from that first episode was when Fennec Shand and Boba Fett were ambushed by people with force shields. And that was actually the first thing where I was like, okay, so new Boba is terrible for some reason, and old Boba is still kind of kick-ass. Like, the Boba Fett that crawled out of the Sarlacc was still all fucked up and basically sunstroked and a slave is still tougher than the Boba Fett who's been through the, the whole episode with the Mandalorian and come out the other side, and now he's like, I'm too old now, too weak. Which is so weird because, and someone pointed that out very easily. It's like, okay, someone surrounds Boba Fett with all those force shields. He has a fucking jetpack.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of like, why doesn't he just fly away?
As I said, no writer's room. Lots of concept drawings. No one in the writer's room going, okay, how do we logic bomb what the fuck's going on here? I did like that he shot a wrist rocket and blew the fuck out of a guy. There was like those moments where you're like, oh yeah, he's still kind of Boba Fett. He's still doing some hardcore shit, as it were. But it was just, one of those very weird things. And then the parkour chase, as I said, new Boba bores the shit out of me. Interesting Boba was the old Tusken Raider one. But
and this is the episode where they introduced the twins. And you start to get the idea that maybe we could actually have some interesting stuff going on with the politics of crime on Tatooine, and a couple of Hutts show up and say,
we're in
hey,
episode 2 now for everyone
we're gonna kill you.
Yeah, for everyone who is keeping track, we're a bit backwards and forwards, but we're on episode 2 now.
I thought we signposted that quite well.
No, I dropped back to about that last like parkour section from episode 1,
okay.
which was just like, why stop with the parkour? You look like Michael Scott from The Office. Parkour. Kids like it. It's like,
Gonna do a parkour.
yeah, gotta do a parkour.
I'll be back.
But
Okay. No, and understandably, Jill is gonking herself now.
sure.
Okay, so
yeah.
twins arrive, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And they also bring along a black chrysanthemum.
Yeah, okay.
So I like the introduction of chrysanthemum. I think everybody was like, oh yes, fuck yes.
Yeah, I mean, I like.
Sure. I like that Wookiee.
Yeah, okay, I still enjoy the fact that they are trying to establish the fact that Chewbacca is kind of weedy for a Wookiee.
Right.
Like, a lot
He's
of the
tall and
Wookiees
thin.
are bigger, like, physically, than Chewbacca. Chewbacca is kind of live and slim.
Right.
He's a slight Wookiee. Whereas Wookiees can be also just fucking buff Wookiees. I love that they put Black Chrysanthemum's introduction into this because it came with the smart way, as you talk about, the twins, the Hutt twins. And this is where I was getting really excited with that bit because it's like, oh my God, they're establishing a villain.
Yeah. And I thought, oh, cool. Okay, if we're setting up that there is going to be a power struggle with these twins, and the twins have got a badass fucking Wookiee bounty hunter on their side, and
who Boba Fett technically knows, and this is where I got a bit confused with Black Chrysanthemum. Because, a bit of backstory on that, it has already been established that Black Chrysanthemum, if you notice on his left eye, he has a scar. Who did he get that scar from? Canonically, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay,
so
cool.
It was kind of a little thing like, oh, are they introducing Black Chrysanthemum so that they can introduce him back into the Obi-Wan TV series? That would be cool.
Sorry, I'm just reading Rob's thing about Boba having no fighting skills prior to his fall into the Sarlacc pit. He just traded on his dad's reputation and armor. I mean, if that's what he did for 30 years and became the most badass or respected bounty hunter in the galaxy, fucking, that's very impressive. But where do you get that from, Rob? I certainly, like, it seems to be at odds with what you've said, Dion.
I think that's a fascinating idea if they wanted to establish that that's what had happened. But it's not, because they reestablished him as coming in during the Mandalorian and taking out everyone with all of his fucking, weaponry. When he got his armor back, he just became absolutely kick-ass.
And in the Mandalorian, he's also just come out of, he's had however long learning from the Tusken. So that's where he's learned that hand-to-hand fighting.
But it's
Um,
just it's a mess. Like it's a strange thing. Like I like the idea that he's just spent the whole 30 years trading off his dad's armor. He doesn't do much. He just goes and finds people and then moves on. But that's not really a good theory. Like also poorly executed in this show. Then they didn't actually talk about it. And I wanted to say. I love the fact that they introduced the twins, which was two, Hutts coming to take over Jabba's stuff. Amazing. Yep. I was really excited by that. And that's why Jill is technically wrong for everything. Sorry, I had to do a Jill.
Hey, welcome back.
Hey. No, I was really excited by the twins turning up with Black Cassette, and you knew there was going to be a showdown. And I'm like, these are cool things.
I hoped there was going to be a showdown. Turns out I was wrong.
Yeah.
So it was like boring and anticlimactic.
It was really annoying. But this episode did have the big fucking train attack.
Sure. And this is where we were going. What I really loved, this was the Lawrence of Arabia stuff. And that's where I started to get really invested in the Tuscans. I didn't get invested because there was absolutely no reason for those Pikes or whoever was running that train to shoot the Tuscans at all. Just give me a reason.
It's like you're going so fast. Like, who cares?
Are you doing it for sport because you're bored and you're assholes? Just show that. Just show that. Show the people in the train drinking and getting bored and being like, hey, look, there's Tuscans coming up. We should shoot them because we're bored.
Yeah, not because they're actually any fucking threat.
No. And this was also the more interesting one again of Boba Fett, explaining how and why to, he's helping out the Tuscans and what he can benefit them, and has that favorite line of yours, Quinny.
Like a bantha.
Yeah.
It is also the episode that had one of the most deep cut callbacks of all, because I was like, really? Fucking okay, wow. In that they actually, one of the sequences happens in Toshi Station, where Luke was going to go and get his power converters from. Like somebody went in, found the deleted scenes from the 1978 Star Wars, recreated the set, included some background characters that had never been seen in the actual film, and then put them into the fucking film. And you're like, into this series. And I was like, that's lovely for all the fans, but to anyone else, it's like, fucking really?
And shout out to the nerds out there, because I know that I do follow one of the people who's their Instagram profile is Landspeeder Luke. Go and find that. That person does a whole bunch of 3D printer files, and they had made that Toshi Station printer file, like interior, about 2 days before the episode aired. They had made it based on the preview of the week before and the old deleted scene, and they just recreated the whole thing in 6-inch scale. Amazing. Fans are amazing.
Yeah,
I love that stuff. But
this is the one that I actually felt like I was like, okay, I'm on board with this show now, because there's some good action stuff. Like there was the attack on the train, there was the stuff with him taking out the speeder bike gang and everything. I was like, right, okay. If in the past, Boba Fett's a bit of a badass. In the future, he's now got some bad guys to go up against. Cool. I think we're setting some stuff up.
Yeah, and
then episode 3.
I know we'll get to episode 3. This is what I'm sort of saying. Like episode 2 was one of those places. Like Missy said, she said her heart broke every time one of those, poor Tusken Raiders got shot by the dickheads on the train. And I'm like, yeah, it did. It started to establish a really interesting part there where you saw Boba Fett come in during the Mandalorian, and he had like a gaffy stick, and he looked like he'd been on the thing. You're like, why? But why is he all in there? And it gave you a good payoff. He's going to get himself adopted by a tribe and live on Tatooine, looking for his armor for a while. And that gives him a little bit of interesting background. He's part of a family that he's never had. And that's the really fascinating stuff. So I think after the end of episode 2, I was like sold on this. And also because it had that cool dance number. Yeah, the dance number when he'd been adopted by the tribe. Or was that episode 3? I can't remember.
No.
You did the Spirit Quest in episode 3. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, it might be. No.
Does he do? No, I'm pretty sure he does that in episode 2.
No. The tribe has a ceremony to accept him in episode 2. That's true. So he does have
Because episode 3 is.
He does do the spirit quest.
Yeah, he does do that. So look at all this really cool stuff that's in episode 2. You've got the train bit. You've got him teaching the Tuscans how to ride like a panther. And then you've
Twins,
got the twins. You've got fucking the trippy lizard that gets up his nose, and then the fucking Tuscan rave dance
Drug
party.
lizard.
And like that is a great episode, and that's where it introduces so many fucking good ideas, and that's where I went, okay, all of the problems I had with the first one is resolved by the second one.
And then the third episode happens. And much like, you know, the sound of the mod speeder bikes coming to a screeching fucking halt, the series goes, "Oh, mighty daimyo." I rewatched this episode today to go, what the fuck happened here? It's just a fucking mess.
Yeah,
But worst of all, that
everyone was talking
sequence-
about the peyote lizard and having a great time, and we're here to fuck you all up by doing the Happy Days. Maybe they did this as a nod to Happy Days.
No,
as
fuck
like-
the nods. And also, it's not a nod to Happy Days, it's a nod to Quadrophenia.
Not even fucking
It is 100% Robert Rodriguez going, I liked a film called Quadrophenia that I saw when I was young, so I'm going to reference it fucking heavily.
I mean, okay,
All of
Lorth
the
Appeal.
goofy tech from like Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah, and also, it's poor grade. I think the thing that really fucks me with this, apart from the fact that it's like a we're up to the fucking streets of Mos Espa, which is the worst episode that I think I've ever seen of Star Wars.
And I'm sorry, Ratbag Beetlebum apparently loves this episode and it brought in the mods and the gift of Danny Trejo.
Yeah, Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
Look, you know, Danny Trejo is fine to turn up and get gifted a Rancor, but for no reason. Why would you literally establish the fact that you have 2 huts that have come back and they're going to be really cool and they've got a Wookiee bodyguard and that's amazing, and then they just fuck off in the very next episode.
Yeah, they're like, oh, looks like there's some bigger problems coming. So peace, we're out here. Have a present and have
It literally removed the 2 coolest things in episode 3. It removes the 2 coolest things that you'd established in the first 2, and then introduces shit which is probably some of the worst fuck up stuff since Jar Jar. Like,
That's a big call.
the mods are terrible. They're terribly executed. They look completely out of place. They have no established canon. They're dumb. I don't know why they're there.
And
they do not
here's
add
an
anything
interesting
to
thing
it.
that I noticed while rewatching this episode, because I was like, okay, let's look at the one and let's see if I can pull apart why it doesn't work, what really fails about it.
Everything.
Everything, yes, but so Just Angela thought they were pretty. That's cool, but they don't fit in the location that they're in. They like the designs of the bikes and everything are totally out of keeping with the rest of everything else. But also the scene is cut to shit. I was rewatching it. There is very clearly some dialogue or something that has been cut, because in the scene where he first meets the mods, he kind of comes on, like, you know, we've had the guy come up and complaining about his red stapler. And so he goes to find the mods who are a problem and then faces off against them. Then the British lady says, "Oh, mighty daimyo, we don't have jobs." And then within one line, he calls her by her name that she's never said to him, and then says, "Well, you've got guts, I'll give you that." And she hasn't fucking said anything to actually
done anything. Yeah.
And done anything. And I'm like, I have a feeling that there's a chunk cut out of that scene. That is how the fuck he knows her name is Dank.
I was again completely thrown by this because
maybe
that's where she made her money, in dank memes. Again, like, this is the thing. They're not dirty. It's literally Tatooine. Everything's fucking dirty. They established that forever. Like, if you go to Tatooine, it's a dirty planet. It's just fucking dirty. Everything's dirty.
gets
Sand, it gets everywhere.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
coarse.
Tatooine is only useful because it's literally a refueling point starport in the middle of fucking nowhere, trying to get from A to B. You're kind of like it's a gas station on Route 52. You know, that's the whole thing that they're trying to make. Nothing ever happens apart from what people bring in. They could have done this so much better, but yeah. Also, if they're poor and they don't have any money and they don't have jobs, where the fuck are they getting all their money for all of their cool tech?
You know what's weird? I could have written it off as like, oh yeah, they've been displaced after the fall of the Empire, whatever. They're not actually from Tatooine. But in that final episode, Joan Jett is fully on like, I grew up here. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Because you don't look like you're from here.
Nope.
Yeah. You don't look like you've ever seen the sun a day in your life, Joan Jett.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
You
even
certainly don't dress like you're from Tatooine.
even Ray, who was on another desert planet that she had to work for a living, she looked like she'd grown up there, and all of her shit was dirty.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it
I
just
got
made
angry
no
about
sense.
it because, yeah, like
How
if
do you
you
have shiny chrome bikes if you grew up on Tatooine?
yeah.
And
And,
I mean-
those bikes are just a shit design, and it's somebody who's literally, if you've seen anything of the movie Quadrophenia,
Yeah.
it is a movie about mods, a la the British mods in the 60s, who ride around on Vespers that are modified and have all of those those wing mirrors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we get it, Robert. We get
Yeah.
what you're doing. But also, if you're going to include them, at least try and make them cool. Don't put them in the slowest, shittiest fucking chase sequence.
And also,
Oh,
yeah,
that
also that
chase
fucking
was
it was
so
really
weird.
it was cheap. Okay, like I know that Star Wars is not exactly
Mhm.
high art, but I mean it's not cheap. And that's what this felt like. This is why I say they rushed through the Book of Boba Fett too fucking quickly. They didn't give enough time to make and they didn't have enough people standing there going, no. It was like, oh, you're golden.
good
You've
enough,
made
do
this
it
great
again.
thing. You know, this isn't right. Like, why? Why do you like? Why would there be these kind of like? You've already got things like swoop gangs. You know,
Yeah,
the swoop
we've
gang that's
seen
already
them.
in there, which was the Nikto swoop gang. That's what the gang is. They do evil shit. They're not just bored teenagers with shiny chrome parts who modify themselves, except none of their modifications provide them any benefit.
Oh, I don't know. There was the
Except
cool
the
kicking
eyes,
one.
dude.
And yeah. And that clearly gave him the ability to do cool spins while shooting. And yeah, the worst thing is that they felt like they were from a different fucking thing. So when they
They're
rock
in a
up, you're like,
completely
"Ugh."
different thing.
And I mean, they attempt to fix it in the next episode, but by that
They
point,
don't.
I
You've
think
already lost.
most everybody had gone, fuck
Look,
this
I know.
shit.
I
If they
know
were
that.
a bike gang from Coruscant, sure, I'd buy it. But
Yeah,
Yes.
I know that. I know that that's the thing. But they're not even the thing I hate most about that episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Is it the fight with Cassandra?
Is that in that episode?
Yep.
It must. Well, okay.
Because that's when the mods fight off Cassandra. And then at the end of it, Boba shows up in his fucking bathrobe.
Yeah, he would have
Oh my
honestly,
God.
Cassandra should have pasted them. No, the thing that 100% lost me at this point in the Book of Boba Fett is they killed off the tribe of Tuscans. They spent 2
Off
episodes.
screen.
Yes, they'd spent 2 episodes establishing this stuff, and they just killed them. They just removed them, and that is quite possibly the worst fridging I've ever seen in a TV show. Most interesting bunch of characters with diversity and cultural understanding, and trying to take an old group of things like from a science fiction narrative and give them something to build around.
An old thing that was also kind of problematic, because if you look back at the Tuscan Raiders, they're a weird mix of American Indians and Arabian looks in terms of what they are designed like. And then you kind of get you're like, okay, are we just culturally appropriating 2 things? And then it's okay for you to kill them. Like,
And did
they're
it
just the
even
bad
progress
guys.
Boba's story? Not really. Because could he
It's
have
made him
done the
sad.
exact same things that have happened since if they hadn't died? Probably.
Yep.
You know what would have worked though? if they'd been left alive, that last episode would have been far more fucking interesting.
Yeah.
Right?
Come on, like
If the
holy
old
shit.
homies come back and help.
Yeah.
I was,
you know,
I was,
I'm far more behind Boba Fett riding in on a fucking Rancor with an army of sand
Tuskens.
people.
That'd be
You
cool.
know,
oh, Quinny, you can't
behind
call
him.
them sand people. Quinny, you
That's-
can't call them sand people.
It's their word. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah,
I'm
but I mean, it
going
would
to
have
go
been.
and turn my air conditioner
it-
off. And there's something very hot in
Yeah,
this room.
yeah. Look, that was the thing.
Walt Disney to go and take a running jump off the shortest cliff he could find.
You told Walt Disney, the head of Walt Disney. I mean, not like the head of
No,
Walt,
just
but the
literally the
actual
head
head,
of
the
Walt Disney.
He has a
cryogenically
head in
frozen
the
head of
jar.
Walt
Yeah,
Disney.
That's what he is now.
That until Captain America and Bucky get into Star Wars, you're not
Yep.
watching any more of the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh.
Is that? Oh, yeah. Okay. I don't know what happened there. Everything just dropped out. Quinny got up to turn on his air conditioning and
I'm
broke
sorry.
the stream. But we're back now, and at Jill's request, I'm moving on to chapter 4. Even though I still have much more to say about chapter 3. Chapter 3 is the
Okay,
death
good.
knell. Chapter 3 is where I lost my will to live for this show, and I think I actually said, "What the fuck is going on?" during that show. Episode.
Well, I
3.
like the description you gave to me, which is like, yeah, in episode 2 there was a train wreck. Episode 3 is a train wreck.
Yes. Yes,
was
they
like,
wrecked
oh.
a train in episode 2, and episode 3 was a train wreck. It's
Yeah.
fucked. Absolutely. And I blame 100% Jon Favreau and Robert Rodriguez for that piece of shit.
Oh, there is also there's the shit chase, but there's also the moment where I went, this version of Boba Fett's a fucking moron, where they go to
Yeah.
see the mayor, and then they
Yeah.
kind of knock on the door and it's like, hey, is the mayor home? And somebody goes, I'll just go and ask him, and then
Yeah.
goes out and then they wait around and then go, oh,
Oh,
the
he's not
mayor's
coming
gone.
up.
Why
You're
did
like-
they wait this time, but they didn't wait last time?
Like, honestly, this is the thing that I think that they're fundamentally the people, the creators, the creative team behind the show, either misrepresenting Boba Fett because they're trying to make him, as we established earlier, the hero, the anti-hero hero, which he's not. He should never be the anti-hero. Like, this is the thing. Din Djarin, that Mandalorian, is doing more Boba Fett shit than Boba Fett is. And that's what's really kind of weird for me. You know,
Yeah. Agreed.
he's not doing the cool shit, which I don't understand.
No. And you know what we get in episode 4? We get an episode where they attempt to reclaim the fire spray gunship, which is
That's what it's called now. It's
yeah.
Boba Fett's fire spray gunship.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they cover the history of him and Fennec, where he turns her into a mod. See, I didn't even mind that because they did the bit where they took her to a modification thing and showed at least what modification was. And I was like, okay, well, I've got some more context for it here, so I'll fucking forgive it a little bit, but wrong
I don't
order.
even like. No, honestly, if you've got a hut in the middle of the desert at night and there's someone in there who can easily replace your inside workings and turn them into robot parts, but it's just in that one hut, I'm like, I don't trust that guy. Why is it not full of shit? Wouldn't you not have sand in your gears? Doesn't it not work incorrectly?
Yeah.
I mean, if Luke needs to have his hand replaced by, qualified rebel surgeons on a starship, and even then it doesn't work properly and stuff can go wrong, some guy working out of a back shed in Tatooine with like dreads who looks too clean. What the fuck is going on? But what's the fact?
Yeah. So I'm just reading over what happens in episode 4, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This is the one that they go back to the Sarlacc.
Oh, yes. And that was
Which
kind
is-
of cool.
Yeah, I didn't mind that. I was like, okay,
Did you
cool.
like
That's
the
a
fact
good
that
moment.
it still had a beak?
Yep. I liked that it had the beak. I mean, the beak was always kind of goofy, but
The beak was
Um,
always terribly added, and I never knew that why it needed to have a beak. Why does it need to have Jill? Why does it need a beak?
she was like, I don't care.
Sorry, I'm just
care.
having a separate conversation in the chat and also struggling with my digestion.
Oh no.
Is it because of your beak?
Yeah. See, what happens is I swallowed somebody and their angst is feeding me, but it's really just not going down.
Jill is her very own Sarlacc.
I am
Yeah.
a Sarlacc.
She is her Sarlacc, and that's this is one of those things that I just got kind of like I thought was fine, like having them go back to the Sarlacc, and also having Fennec Shand, who I gotta say Fennec Shand is like my MVP for this entire series. Ming-Na Wen is just kind of like, I'm doing the best that I can to make you look good. Jesus Christ, including I'm the person standing behind you going, don't do that. That's a dumb idea. Kind of, you need to do more shit. You're the crime lord. Jesus fucking Christ, start acting like one and stop doing dumb things.
Mhm.
Like, I love Ming-Na Wen and I enjoy this character, but I also love the fact that she's the one who killed the Sarlacc because she could reach the button.
Yeah.
And then
I
I
like
also
that
love
she-
that it just fell out because it's not actually powered. It just kind of drops behind. So I love the fact that it was upside down, just went boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom.
I enjoyed that. Yeah, she has the seismic charge from the old thing. It was like, yeah, cool, sweet, nice.
Yeah, I didn't mind that, kind of idea. And I also didn't mind that, the Sarlacc is kind of a thing that will not die. Like it takes a lot more than just something blowing up or something cutting its way out. Like it's kind of a big beast.
Yeah. And conceivably will continue to eat people and do stuff for a long time to come.
Sure. And then you you see some of again, it's all back to the boring shit.
Yeah.
Like this episode 4 was kind of boring. It's like, oh, I'm going to get some people to get on my team because I've got this army of mods, and now I'm going to go and get Black Cassanton to hire him on my side, and this is what I did when I tried to find my armor. It was like, all of this is kind of... Oh, this also had some of the worst like stuff when they broke into Jabba's palace, which was General Grievous's
the fucking rat
chef
catcher droid.
robot and the rat catcher droid that switched himself off. And I was like, what the fuck is going? Especially after 3. Like after 3, I was watching this, and this episode isn't particularly terrible, but in context, after watching episode 3, going, you need to do some more work here. This episode was like, where is this show going? Honestly,
Sorry, I just found a thing on the Wikipedia that I really enjoy. And I'll do if you. No, I'll turn off my background. 2 seconds.
What is it?
Hang on, sorry. So
it's not
no
the ultimate.
background.
Like I see in the
Here you
chat,
go.
it's not the ultimate Iron Chef. It's bullshit.
So this is the critical reception for each episode.
Yeah.
And I like that
makes sense.
episode 3 and episode 7 are the ones that are just like ba-bow.
I said, why did it go back up at episode 4?
Well,
on
because
the
it was
same
better
par.
than the last one.
Yeah, like the chef robot was just dumb because again,
Get off the droids. I love all the droids. Droids do no wrong.
but the
I
stupid.
want a whole series just on the droids.
I can
If
understand.
there is one, it's called Droids. It's not very good.
Jill, No, Jill, don't watch
They're
droids.
all sassy. I love them.
They are all sassy. I do like the little droid from The Force Awakens. He was nice.
In fact,
We haven't
actually,
got to him yet.
the only the only three droids that I actually really appreciate in all of the Star Wars canon universe are HK-47, which is the assassin droid from the Old Republic. So Knights of the Old Republic games. He's fucking great because he calls humans meat bags.
Much like Bender,
because he's an assassin droid, but he's just like dry. And then there's two other assassin droids which are also great because they just don't give a shit. Maybe IG-11.
K2SO is the best thing about.
I do love me some K2SO.
Speaking of which, we're getting to the actual redemption part here, and I'll skip very quickly. After episode 4, I was still kind of like, I don't understand where the fuck this show is going and what's going on. And then the show takes a very significant turn with episode 5 and 6, does it not?
The best episodes out of the whole series.
I know, right? But it's not.
It's not that
the
series.
Book of Boba Fett.
No, it's Mandalorian 2.5.
Yes, exactly. And this is where, and here's the point that I think
I'm re-energized.
Yeah, we were like,
We're back.
You were talking
Jill's
about.
alive.
I feel like there were a bunch of executives watching that graph that you had up there, Quinny, who were just like, oh shit, we've fucked it with the Book of Boba Fett. Have we got any season 3 of Mandalorian that we can just shoehorn in here? We need to get this one back in.
See, I would love for that to have been what happened, but it's clearly not. Because you can't turn around an episode and re-edit and do all that shit in the week that would have taken for them to see the numbers and go, oh, we're fucked.
Not when season 3 is not due until like September or something. So.
If you're Disney, you can. You've got infinite money.
There's not that much money in the fucking world.
I don't think you can just go, hey, Pedro, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm working on all these. I don't care. Come here.
Yeah.
Come here and do this right now.
Even if it had been like, hey, Pedro, we've how we've shot those episodes and everything. We just need you to come in for 2 days to do a shot where we hand over to Fennec Shand.
Yeah.
Like, but even still, that would then make no sense at all for the second and last episode.
Honestly,
Like,
this
was clearly planned from the start.
These 2 episodes, like 5 and 6, it just brought me back into it where I was like, but I don't know why why this is called the Book of Boba Fett, Din Djarin turns back up. He's still claiming bounties because he needs money. Fucks up his leg with the Darksaber because he's shit and he knows he's shit. I love that bit where he's just like, I've got the Darksaber. Nah, I'm shit with it. Nah, I've hurt myself. Nah, fuck. I'm kind of like,
I'm a leg.
Yeah, but that's kind of like that bit where you're like, fuck yeah. That's funny. Like, I don't know how to.
It's funny and it's cool and there's other Mandalorians and there's
and the
all of that
armorer
cool
comes
shit.
and the armorer comes back and the armorer gives great explanations in world building, saying things like, oh, where did you get a Beskar spear from? And he's like, oh, I got it like off an Imperial. And she's like, we're not allowed to make weapons out of Beskar because it's the only thing that can defeat our armor. And so it's against our religion. And I'm like, okay, I'm with all this. Except for the fact that they set it on a halo ring for no fucking reason that floats in space.
I liked the halo ring. It was cool. I don't know why it existed, but I liked it.
You could just make a fucking space station.
It was just a really big one.
But a weird one. Like, that's not a real thing. Put it around a planet or something.
Look, I think it was a good juxtaposition from like where the Mandalorians were the last time we saw them. And it's
Yes.
kind of like, hey, we've kind of been kicked out of our
And then they got killed.
shack out the back, so we just gotta like go wherever we can, basically.
I love that they doubled down on that and they went, yeah, because you disclosed where we had like a covert where there's a lot of Mandalorians. They sent a bunch of people in and killed us. So technically all of this is your fault and you have to help us rebuild our covert, okay? And he's like, yes, Oz.
Yeah. I like Dark Rider says that they really did set it up quite nicely, that the armor is actually running a cult. This is not a normal fucking thing. She is a weirdo religious cult leader who is way off to the side.
Hands up, who's taken off their helmet? Okay, you're out.
This is not going to be a popular cult.
Look, I mean, there's a couple of fan theories out there. I think I discussed one with Quinny the other day, but one of the ones that I thought was most interesting was that, yes, she is a cult leader. She has horns on her helmet because she followed Darth Maul when he was the legitimate ruler of Mandalore in the Clone Wars, because he did win the Darksaber in combat. and was legitimately the ruler. So she was following him. And then when the Darksaber passed to Bo-Katan, it wasn't won in combat. It was just gifted, like basically. And that's when Mandalore everything went wrong. But technically she's not taking her armor off because the fight to save Mandalore to get out from under the control of everyone or take back over their planet has never ended. So she can't take off her armor. It's a very interesting thing that goes on. Yeah.
It's interesting, but I gonk the fuck out.
Yeah. That's all gone. But not only do you have that in episode 5, you juxtapose that with a fucking great little situation where you get to go back and talk about Pelimoto, who I've got to say, she has grown on me as someone I did not like when introduced in The Mandalorian, and now I'm kind of like, Amy Sedaris, you were giving it some
Amy
welly.
Sedaris.
She's a great actor. Like, I love the stuff that she does, but she has made that thing work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a character who was kind of uncomfortable in the first couple of things. You're like, oh, I'm not sure what you're doing here. But then, you're like, oh, no, I'm into this. I like this character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hanging out with the weird droids and banging Jawas.
Before we get back to banging Jawas, which I'm down for, I do want to just also, this is one of the first times that we get to see the Night of 1,000 Tears, which is where Mandalore got absolutely fucking decimated by the Empire, who basically did orbital bombardment and then went raised Earth. Because you looked at it, it's like, wow, this is like Terminator level shit.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Seeing those,
seeing a bit of that and
droids.
understanding exactly what it's like. It's like they tried to genocide us. They did a planetary genocide, and that's why there aren't a lot of us around anymore.
And that was one of the K2SO droids, wasn't it?
Yes, the K2SO.
So I was like, oh yeah, they're fucking terrifying. And 7 foot tall and were used for killing. Shit.
Yeah, and I also love the fact that there is the established canons. They were used heavily by the Empire up until the fact that the rebels started reprogramming them and were able to send them in to spy on stuff, and then they got rid of them all, which was excellent to know. But
yeah,
the rest of that episode, you've got those two things like, here's the Mandalorian, he's come back, oh my God, what are we doing? And then they send him, he goes to Tatooine and builds himself a new ship.
Not just any ship.
No.
I know. What one is it? Nope.
No, you're going to have to give us the...
But it was...
Yeah.
It's an
Padme's, it was Padme's ship.
Is it
Naboo Starfighter?
It's an N1 Naboo Starfighter. Yes.
Which was pretty fucking cool. And when they showed that, I was like, oh, really? I'm not sure that that's a cool ship.
I was kind of like, I was a little bit cool. I was a little bit like, oh, you're really going to do that? Like, are you going to make this now? And I was kind of like, it's nice that they did a nod back to the prequels. And I like that they changed it and they gave all those things in there and they made it like,
Sorry, Dark Rider's made an extraordinarily good point.
What?
It's a totally inappropriate bounty hunting ship.
Yeah, because you can't take any bounties. You've got to bring everyone in.
There's nowhere
dead.
to put a bounty.
Yes, absolutely.
You can just cram them up in the little droid port that,
I guess if you're just handing heads in.
Come on, if that was not a absolute...
Grogu up against the glass.
If that was not
with a dead head next to it.
Ew.
If that was not just a fucking telegraph pole of like, oh my God, Grogu's coming back, because they removed the droid and they just put a little clear case on. I'm like, so that's where Grogu's going.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, it was nice to do. And also nice that they managed to, flesh it out a little bit as to, he's not used to the ship. And when he goes flying it, it's kind of cool. It's like a hot rod. They had nods to things from George Lucas's vision that I really got. And I kind of will give that to Bryce Dallas Howard. It was a great episode. She did a good job. She's had a few.
And we got to see our X-Wing mates again.
Yes, which I enjoyed. I do like that they are now essentially just kind of lame-ass space cops.
Yeah.
And then he rocks up in a hot rod and he's like, no, sorry, okay, I'm out of here.
The banality of bureaucracy, I kind of like that they're establishing this as the rebellion. Once they've finished rebelling, what do they have to do? They've got to do all the boring shit that the Empire used to do, but not just be genocidal maniacs about it.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things. It's like, oh, I don't want to do the paperwork. Whereas you knew the Empire would be like, nope, we've got to go and do paperwork. We love paperwork. It's kind of like, it might not be as efficient as the Empire, but they still get the stuff done.
Yeah,
Um,
and then at the end, it's like, oh, that's right. We have to remind you that this is still part of a Boba Fett episode. So
Yeah.
here's some Fennec Shand.
Yeah, Fennec Shand turns up and it's like, all right. And then look, 5 is a great episode, but it's not the Book of Boba Fett. 6 is also a great episode, but it is not the Book of Boba Fett.
The best episode.
Why? Why is it the best episode of this series?
The best episode because it had Grogu.
Who?
But not just Grogu.
It's so weird that they just threw shit at it. Like, I mean, episode 5, it was like, it's the Mandalorian show, just the Mandalorian. Then episode 6 is like, holy shit, is everyone in this one?
Yeah.
Episode 6 is what they gave us because they knew we can't wait a full 12 months for more Mandalorian. So they're like, we have to give these bitches something, otherwise they'll never come back. So they're like, hey, remember how Grogu left at the end of the thing and he went to train with Luke? We're going to give it to you, okay? You've been good.
Yeah.
You've been good. We're going to give it to you.
I feel
And
like
that's all I wanted, and I had a really emotional day that day. And when I watched it and I saw the Grogu training montage, I cried.
Oh.
And I've never cried at Star Wars before. But seeing him do his little flips and shit was so cute.
I had issues with that where I'm like, already, I mean, I've so many theories and stuff about why Luke is a shit teacher.
Sure.
But like the
Yeah,
whole
it's great.
thing that he's training this little fucking Grogu to do flips and shit, it's like, put him in a decent outfit, dude. Like, why are you trying to teach him to jump around when he's wearing a fucking burlap sack and he's falling over himself? You're a shit teacher. Help the kid.
Yeah. And like,
but also it
just
starts
has droids building his little temple.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. There's a part of me that's like,
guys,
why
they're gonna
can't you
burn
just
it
use
down
the
later.
Force?
Just leave it.
why are you bothering? It's going to burn down in like 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like you want to stand there and just going to be like, I just want to hang around here. And he's like, oh, welcome our new student, Ben Solo. It's like, oh no. Well, it's going to be bad. But like, okay, you're sitting here and you're going, wow, 2 of the better episodes of the Book of Boba Fett feature very little Boba Fett.
Almost none.
Almost zero Boba Fett. And I think there are some huge problems in episode 6 just with the content. Like, not really the content. The content's kind of interesting because you get to have things like R2-D2, Ahsoka Tano, like, Mandalorian, Grogu, Luke, like a whole bunch of cool ideas that are in there. But I think some of the character motivations were very, very hit and miss, and also ended with what I think one of the worst either the best or the worst explanations as to why Luke shouldn't be allowed to train Jedi. Because he's dealing in absolutes. And as we all know, established earlier, absolutes a dark side thing. He's saying you can have one or the other only. You can either you can have the shirt and you don't get to be trained, or you can have the lightsaber. Like, that is not a very good thing to do.
Yeah, he didn't really take on board all the lessons that he was taught, did he?
Well, and this is my theory about it, is that why Luke, I mean, and this actually I think is very smart because it does lead into him training Ben Solo and being a bit of a shit teacher and not ever being able to quite get past the dark side in him, is because Luke was never trained to be a proper Jedi. Like,
but you know what? That also means that Obi-Wan was a shit teacher as well, because
he was.
Look at what happened to Anakin. Like, Obi-Wan was exactly the same way that Luke was. It's like, you can have one or the other. You can't have it all.
Yeah.
And Anakin was just like, fuck you, Obi-Wan.
And I mean, Filoni's actually said a couple of times that realistically what a lot of the episodes are about is the fact that the Jedi are not good teachers. They're not actually particularly good people. They've got this idea in their head that they're the good guys, but they do deal in absolutes. They are arrogant. They have no subtlety at all. And when it comes to teaching new generations and everything and dealing with the concept of the dark side, they've got no fucking chill whatsoever.
Yeah.
They're like, dark side, must fucking kill it. And you're like, dude, if you recognize it, maybe address it, talk to it, maybe explain what dark feelings come from.
It was kind of that very interesting explanation they did in The Last Jedi, which is talking about Luke as the teacher was trapped in his own dogma and ideas, which is why he was a terrible teacher and he failed everyone. It's like, yes, you have a sense of failure and guilt in that because you were dogmatically trying to teach something that you had no idea or understanding of, because you just also got to remember he was a 17-year-old step kid of someone who got dragged into an intergalactic war at about 18 and then became like a war hero at 25. And then it's like, okay, off you go now. And he's like, yeah, cool. I'll just go teach people how to be people. It's like, you have no life experience.
Yeah.
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 You went from a farmer into the military. And then when you finished that, you had nothing to do. So you thought you'd teach people. So I kind of really like that in this show. It's like, Luke's a bit shit.
Yeah. Like,
Well,
even
in
the way that he
retrospect,
teaches him.
all the Jedi are a bit shit, to be honest. I mean, how did they all end up as like weapons for the Senate, basically? I mean, you look at all the relationships between the masters and their Padawans, and they're all shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're unhealthy for the most part.
I mean, even Anakin had a hard time with Ahsoka. Like,
Well, and that's the other thing, like bringing in Ahsoka into this one. So the people who are training Grogu, Luke, who is not a good teacher and has not had good teachers, and Ahsoka, who actually abandoned the Jedi Order entirely.
And flat out refuses to teach Grogu. She's like, oh no, I'm not teaching him. I'm not doing any of that shit.
Because, I mean, she's like the one that can speak from experience, basically. Like, she quit the whole thing because she's like, I don't like that it's one thing or the other. Like, why can't I help everybody?
And
Why does it
technically,
have to
she'd be the best person to teach him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all she had to
Jedi
do was...
Order is bullshit. It's like, if you want to like be one with the Force, then go and do it, but don't do it under the rules of this group that ordain what is and what isn't.
Yeah, yeah. And I guarantee you, if she'd been in the room when Luke was making him make the decision, she'd probably be going, actually, dude, I think that's a shit fucking way of teaching.
Yeah.
And it made me go rogue for 30 years of my life. So
I mean,
how's about you calm the fuck down, buddy?
If Grogu spoke Spanish, he probably would have said "Por qué no los dos" at the end of that.
And I would have been here for it.
And then we throw him up and we do our little cheer.
I like it. Yeah.
I mean, like, I see all of those are really interesting
Eating
kind of stuff in
frogs
there.
and
And
tacos.
like, that's half of the episode, which is kind of cool because like they fixed some of the de-aging stuff. I didn't
Very
mind.
well.
It
I
only
didn't.
looks wacky when they're like moving too quickly for the screen to capture it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of like that it was a bit dynamic, and I also like that they kept the Mandalorian and Luke away from each other a bit too much. Again, that I say, like, I sort of go, where the fuck is Boba Fett? Because I really wanted that scene of like Luke and the Mandalorian come together, and he's like, oh, I just came in to check on the kid. Anyway, I've got to go help my friend Boba Fett now, and just have Luke go, what?
Yeah.
Who? Boba Fett. No, last time I threw him into a Sarlacc. What's he doing now? Like, that would have been kind of...
Have parent-teacher night.
Yeah, yeah. It's like,
And then saying to Grogu, look, I think your parents are maybe somebody that we need to think about.
yeah,
Are
like
you okay with that?
take the kid, get him the fuck out of here. He's not coming near me anymore. But I do also like that this episode had the other thing, which is Timothy Oliphant coming back and being the marshal. Like, Cobb Vanth is kind of, well, Timothy Oliphant's a cool drink of water. And let's just say, you know, if you're going to do Cassian Andor, you might as well have Timothy Oliphant come up as Cobb Vanth. But he had a really great scene with a character that was established in the Clone Wars and is finally represented on screen, which is very Wild Western. And we finally get to see Cad Bane. And I found him wholly
He's so
disappointing.
good.
He looked weird.
I fucking loved
I
it.
liked it though.
Oh yeah, like I liked that he looked weird. I just thought,
Yeah.
okay, and
So
yeah,
accurate.
unpopular opinion. He looked like he was wearing weird gloves, and I didn't like it.
I didn't like the
Oh, I
gloves.
wasn't
I
looking at
agree
the
with you.
gloves.
Yeah,
wasn't
and also the gauntlets that he has were like blue, and they shouldn't be blue; they should be silver. Sorry.
Gonk.
Okay, whatever.
But my
People
only
aren't
big,
allowed to change their clothes. Like, what's wrong
No.
with you?
I did think though, I would have liked his hat to have been
Yeah.
slightly bigger.
Could have been, could have had a
Yeah.
wider brimmed hat. I mean,
Yeah.
but that was a great kind of Western thing, and it established Cad Bane as like a Yeah, even though I can't.
Badass.
I also love that they did establish him as old. He's much older than he was in the Clone Wars. He was in his prime in the Clone Wars, and now he's an older one. And I was like, oh yeah, I get this. I get this sort of thing. But he's still a badass, and he's still the person that the Pikes, who are now the enemy, apparently, who have done nothing to establish themselves as the enemy, apart from have a train that shot at Tuskens. Like, they're
Whose
not.
spice came first, Star Wars or Dune?
Dune, I believe,
Dune, I think, because wasn't Dune written before Star Wars?
in the 60s.
Yeah. So spice in that way was Dune is canonically better for spice.
Just felt like a weird addition to this series.
Yeah,
especially after
spices.
the Dune reboot coming out.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate thing because the spice has been in Star Wars for a long time, but in the wake of Dune, it does feel a little bit, especially when they showed it and it was orange powder with sparkles in it. I was like,
They're just snorting glitter.
Yeah.
Funny thing is like you know, I know that they'll probably change it, but technically spice is made by spiders, not worms.
oh, okay.
So in
Well-
Kessel, like on Kessel, the reason that there are spice mines is because it's basically like there's giant spiders who live inside it, and they spin the spice is basically their silk when it's dried out, and yeah, kind of, and that's why spice mining is dangerous because they send slaves basically into there to collect it, but they're probably going to get eaten. Like
Though
that's why
in
it's-
Solo, we see them on a spice
Yeah,
mine.
and then
we don't
not
see
even-
any fucking spiders, and
No.
there's no
No,
anything.
it's very like fine. And we're finally here. Okay, you know, the choice at the end of that episode 6 is the worst thing that I think I've ever seen any Jedi do whatsoever, and everyone I think collectively went, "You fucking asshole!"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Oh, we also see a little bit of Grogu's past, which was interesting during Order
Yeah.
66. And a couple of people in the chat are like, are we going to find out that Grogu is Yoda's child?
no, I
Or-
think it's well, hey, I don't know. Who knows what they're going to do? I thought there was an interesting thing that I'm trying to remember the stunt actor's name who did all the lightsaber fighting of the prequels.
Nick Gillard.
Nick Gillard. It looks to me that the Jedi in the middle of that flashback looks like the character that Nick Gillard was playing. He was the fight master of the Jedi Temple, established in canon. But that would be cool if that was the thing there. I don't know who the others are, and we still don't know who saves Grogu.
Yeah.
Because right at the end is the Commander Appo from the 501st going towards to attack Grogu. We still don't know who actually saved him from the temple. So that's a little backstory. You'd be thinking at the age of 50 you'd be able to speak, though. I'm really waiting for that to happen, Grogu. I also love that in this it was also like, oh, his name's Grogu, and Pelimoto is like, that's a terrible name.
Yeah.
Like that to me was like, beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
you've got some
Yeah.
good shit in here.
But coming back on the little ship with R2.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I did like that. And of course, I know that the fucking droid flew the ship. Shut up.
yeah. But also R2's like, I have to go.
Yeah, I have
Yeah, it's
places
like-
to be.
Yeah, I gotta give you.
Keep your pants on.
And this is the weird thing, like, 2 episodes, 5 and 6, and then the one that I was like, oh, and it's 7, and then we're wrapping up, and I was like, I was very scared at the start of this, and I was like, the finale, the big thing, and I was like, what the fuck are they gonna do?
What indeed?
I kind of feel like they drew an They drove an F Formula One car that had been made by Jawas just over a series of speed bumps that they thought they could clear and they never quite got to. So by the end of it was like, well, this thing's fucked. Does that make sense? Is that a good metaphor? Like, maybe it's not a great metaphor, but
I don't know, but it just reminded me of the Jawa's trawler with the crate dragon skull on the top of it.
oh, that was fucking great.
Oh, yeah. So the stuff with Cobb Vance, the stuff with
Yeah.
Freetown, and the stuff with the Jawas with the Great Dragon Skull. Fuck yeah, great,
Yeah.
awesome. Like, and as I said to Dion at that lunch, I was like, yes, like they've taken 2 whole fucking episodes to do an entire other story. That's cool. I wouldn't mind if they had 2 or 3 more episodes for us to come back and actually get on board with Boba Fett.
Sure. And also
But
like the
nah.
I mean, look at the thing that they just missed there too, which was like Boba Fett, crime lord of Tatooine, trying to establish himself. I have to go and get people to be on my side. Why the fuck didn't he go around and grab all of the bounty hunters from episode 5 and then have an army of Tusken Raiders that he'd already befriended as part of the tribe, and he would have had enough people to kick everyone off fucking Tatooine, and all of us little fans would have been like, yay! And
he
did a little
goes and gets Bosk and Dengar and
Bosk,
Zuckuss
Dengar,
and
Forlom,
Forlom and all
IG-88.
of those fucking dopey looking characters who showed up in the background of old movies.
And just
Get
been like,
them.
yeah, and Black Cassandra.
IG-88.
Keep Black Cassandra in there. I'm fine with him being like on. He at least got some cool Wookiee things to do in that, but like it was so weird that they're like, oh, all of our people are like covering all the different areas, and I'm like, they are.
I felt
different areas?
sorry for Ming-Na Wen in that scene.
Oh, she was
because she just had a fucking mountain of exposition to go through. To go, here's what's happening. Here's what we've set up. Here's like, I know we've probably should have had an entire fucking episode setting all this shit up, but I'm going to cover it all in 2 minutes of shit dialogue. Oh,
yeah, it's just
poor fucker.
Yeah, like you, as I said,
If
Ming-Na
Boba
Wen
had done his job at the beginning and actually got the people on his side,
Yeah.
then it would have been a lot easier to defeat these guys at the end.
it
because
would've-
like the town wouldn't have been against him.
It would have made sense if Boba had actually done anything to benefit the people of Tatooine in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, but he didn't, and so they were firing against him. They were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but these guys are like, they're promising more. You've done fuck all for us." So,
Yeah, like, I didn't mind that twist of like the crime families, they promise him that they're not going to, and then they betray him anyway. Like, I mean, that's kind of one of those things that he could have easily been like, well, they're going to do that anyway, so we'll just prepare for it. But one of the things is like, it kind of had these things like Boba Fett is kind of the hero of the people. Like, that's what they kind of put out there. But why? He doesn't do anything for anyone. All he brought was like, all he brought to Tatooine since he came back was more shit. Yeah, he just walked around with his helmet off going, and they even had that.
He has so many credits that he doesn't need more.
He could have bought it off.
People money.
Yep.
There was even that terrible thing where someone ran out and gave him a piece of fruit. Like, yes, we've seen The Godfather. We understand what the fuck's going on. Could you not?
Yeah.
I mean,
some of that stuff was on the nose.
Yeah.
What do we think about the giant destroyer droid, the upgraded destroyer droid that came in at the end?
I love that they are made from exactly the same material and designed by the same propulsion people who make the White Stars in Babylon 5, and they move at the speed of plot. So sometimes they're very quick, other times they amble along very slow. And sometimes they can't hit the side of a barn, but sometimes they can shoot super fucking accurately.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can keep up with a fucking little robot like on wheels. Other times they can't.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
Yep.
But also I fucking hated the fact that everybody just kept shooting at their fucking shields. Like, it's abundantly clear that the shields are going nowhere. So shoot at some other people, you fucking moron.
Yeah, I absolutely love the fact that you're quite right. It's like at some points they can stand next to them and try to punch them, and at other points they're like, we have to run from our lives in a straight line. I had Prometheus flashbacks of like, oh, we need to run away from these droids down this long road. Like, it's like, if you just like, hey, everyone, if we split up and regroup at this place later, we'll
go
probably be
into a
fine.
building. Go inside a door.
The girls, when they were on the roof, and she's like, do you reckon you can shoot this? I've been hunting since I've done this, and I don't care. It was a yes or no answer.
Yeah, shoot.
I mean, also, like, if you had have established that that was something that they have done before, and that was a skill that they were bringing back to this final conflict that they needed, sure, I get that. But just having background characters get a line in the last episode is like, yay!
Yeah,
like-
that's somebody that you have to pay now. You gave them a line, you've got to pay them.
Yeah,
It's
that
bad.
means they're more
How
than a
much
day
money
player.
do you guys have?
I feel like it's bad when I was hoping that the mods were going to die. When I when Black Santin got attacked, I was like, I hope he wins. Like, I hope he beats them up, and he came back, and I was like, yeah, that's fucking great. Like, he's hurt and he's injured, and he still kept going, which doesn't explain why he got his ass handed to him by mods earlier. But when I'm watching the mods like getting attacked, I'm like, let them die. Let
Kill
them
them.
die. Just let
Kill
them
them.
die. It'd be great. Can they die? I'd love if they died.
As Casper said, wouldn't it have been nice if one of those things had just blown up all the scooters?
It would have just made more sense. Speaking of scooters, I am also really upset that Ming-Na, when like Fennec Shand basically just gets to fuck off. Like, her character motivation is to fuck off during that, except she just makes the stop off to save some people before fucking off to do her job. Like, she's like, oh, I'll just leave. Actually, on the way, there's I could just stop off and check in on these guys. Yeah, all right, okay, I'll just do that. And then I'll fuck off. And then she gets to, and this is the thing that fucked me off in the last one, really royally.
One of the
many things. She was the one who got the revenge on the Pikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, not the Book of Fennec Shand.
Yeah. And I was just kind of like really disappointed. I was like, I love Fennec Shand. Fennec Shand could have had a really cool moment somewhere. She could have led that last stand against the droids and been figured out how to defeat them and done something like that. And Boba Fett could have just basically rolled up and be like, you just tried to kill me. And I've killed everyone and I'll take you out. Especially because he has the time to fucking jetpack back to his palace and get his pet Rancor.
And then ride it for however long. I mean, I want to see how far it is between Mos Espa and...
Like a bantha. Fucking hell.
Those banthas aren't fast though, man.
No.
I'm like, he can walk faster than the bantha. Why is he riding it through the fucking desert?
I also fucking love that Rancor moved so fast. Like, except like in Return of the Jedi, that Rancor moved terribly slowly.
Look, I'm glad that, because if the Rancor had moved slow, that would have been a fucking deathly boring sequence. Like, the Rancor fight sequence was the thing in this episode that saved it from being fucking terrible. Barely.
Like, yeah. I mean, I can't, like, they foreshadowed it. Like, it was like,
a mile away.
I want to learn to ride it. Okay, thanks, Tim. Like,
yep.
Great. So obviously he's going to ride the Rancor at some point, if that's the big thing that they're hanging their whole series on. Fine. Like, great that you get to see him doing it. But also, I love the fact that the Rancor tried to eat the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
That's great. I was actually hanging out at one point going, if this Rancor doesn't eat someone, I'm going to be fucking pissed. And at least they ate one person.
Yeah.
Even if it was a faceless Pike.
Yeah. I did like it when all of the people from Freetown arrived. They essentially just all arrived in a pickup.
Again, that makes sense.
They drove their old beat up truck.
At least it wasn't the same speeder from Solo that they reused the assets for because they had them, which is what the assistant. How do we feel about the mayor's assistant?
Oh, fuck, I hated him.
I kind of vacillated between both, but I feel like he could have been really, really funny, and he was just only slightly funny.
Yeah, such a weird cliche character.
And also the butt shot at the back.
Yeah.
And he was in there. Like,
yeah, that was never a good look.
It's just, I think it's just
because...
because...
like when, Pilimoto was hitting on him. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what I say.
I like Pelimoto fucks. Let's make no bones about that. Or any bones you want.
Yeah. Do you think her like comm numbers are a stall somewhere?
Yeah, for a good
time, call Pelimoto. She'll get your motor running.
Karina made a good point of like Grogu kind of like Crocodile Dundeeing the the Rancor,
and then just having a nap.
Yeah.
Like I didn't mind that. Like, I liked the bit at the end where Grogu's in the the back of the thing and it's like, no, go faster. And I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah,
that was cute.
One more time.
This is the thing that I like about the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is a dad. He's space dad now. So he's allowed to have these things like, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm still cool. And it's like, oh, show a bit of humanity. It's like, great. Okay, fine. Like, that's the great thing.
Little kid and
I'll tell you though, the stinger, the end credit scene in the end of the episode is terrible, and I'm fucking terrified about they're gonna make Cobb Vanth into a mod now.
Poor old Cobb.
I mean, I had to rewind that sequence a couple of times to even work out who the fuck was in the Bacta tank.
Oh.
I was like, who is that?
Can you see that glorious silver mane?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, but I also
gave it away the second time.
But
I
here's
was
the,
just like,
here's the question that I want to know: if Cobb Vanth is already in Bacta, why do they need to modify him? The reason they had to modify Fennec Shand is because he didn't have access to Bacta tank, and he needed to save her life, so they modded her instead of put her into Bacta.
Yes.
But he's literally in a Bacta tank.
Yes. Yes, that is a good question.
And is going to get cut up by the dreadlock son of fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mods are the
Are we
worst.
going to get an announcement for Justified Tatooine?
Sure, I'm down.
Because I would watch that over another Book of Boba Fett season.
see,
Sure.
Okay, I have an idea for what I would do for another Book of Boba Fett, but and it's a great gig.
Is it
for?
the pamphlet of Boba Fett that you said?
Yeah, well, the pamphlet of Boba Fett with some pictures of other
DL
characters that
flyer.
other people.
The
like.
flyer of Boba Fett?
Yeah.
The business card of Boba Fett?
No, I would do like we've now got him set up as the crime lord, daimyo, whatever. Virtually leave that shit alone, and then go do an entire series of him learning to be a better bounty hunter, like his interactions through his 20s and 30s, and you can get fucking Daniel Logan in to do it. Give that guy a fucking gig,
Yeah,
and have it be the birth of Boba Fett as a badass. You can have Tem on the throne, occasionally thinking back to times and stuff like that. But the bulk of the story is about, young Boba Fett going and have fucking adventures and going and doing cool bounty hunting shit.
yeah.
Hang on.
Do that.
The
Hunting
Boba-
down fucking what's his name? Hunting down the Jedi who killed his dad.
Yeah.
You mean
Him.
Samuel
Forgotten.
Jackson?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mace.
Like we never
He's
saw
dead
Mace
now.
die.
Oh.
He fell
Well,
out a window. We
Was
didn't see
in
him
the
die.
Winter Soldier, remember? He carved through the
Exactly. With his own
and
lightsaber
disappeared.
in a different universe.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you actually raised a good point earlier. Just looking it up while I'm here. Someone has made a map of Tatooine, just quickly to try and get the idea between Mos Espa
the
and
whole
Jabba's palace
planet.
and Mos Eisley. Like, what is the distance? Like, they're very established. They're in Mos Espa. Mos Espa in this map is at least 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, about 100 Ks from Jabba's palace.
Right. So 100 Ks on a Rancor
like,
going.
Yeah. Like, even at a jetpack flying at like however many Ks per second and getting there, like, sure, you could probably fly it in maybe 10, 15 minutes if you, like, whatever reason you have. But then you've got to get it on foot 100 Ks. Like, even if the Rancor is running at 100 kilometers an hour, that's an hour.
Yeah.
Let's just not think too hard about it.
Yeah.
Dude,
Just don't think too hard about it, Austin. I said, and that goes for you too.
yes, I know. Look, I'm this, and these are all the reasons why. Like, there were some fucking great ideas in there. Like, I really wanted to learn more about the Tuskens. I was so interested into like Boba Fett's relationship with the Tuskens was great. Understanding that, learning a different culture, finding part of a family within that. I don't mind him being a shit crime lord and learning lessons and trying to make things work, but trying to humanize him as like, oh no, but I'm a nice person. Like, I can be good. You can succeed under me because I'm a crime lord with a conscience is just terrible.
No.
And the rest of the whole thing that I have a huge problem with is that they just don't seem to understand what they're doing with all these interesting ideas. Like, some of the ideas are fucking great and they've done a great job, and other ideas are just like, what? But no, do you need that?
Yeah.
You don't need that.
Like building up the Tuskens and giving them so much more depth and everything, to the point where there was suddenly a whole spate of articles going, wow, I suddenly feel really weird about episode 2, and seeing Anakin go into a camp full of people and kill a whole bunch of people. You're like, yeah. Anakin, a bad dude. He killed all of them, the women and the children.
Yeah.
You know,
And then
that should
Padme's
have been a bit of a fucking, you know.
and then Padme's
alert
like,
for you.
"Oh, sad."
Yeah.
And these are the things. Just like, I'm sorry, did you just slaughtered? You're telling me that you killed women and children, but I'm like, "Oh, sad boy, need hug." Me,
I
lady.
did love that thing of that meme running around of, you know, when you're Leia talking to Luke, Luke's looking sad, and it's like when your entire planet has just been destroyed, but your new friend's martial arts Sifu has just died.
that he's known for 2 days has just died. You're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
sad."
Oh, sad.
Yeah. Poor you. You know, like. Oh, God, I thank you, everyone. It's been, like, I'm just going to say thank you. It's been 2 hours of absolute me gonking my and. I'm just severe. I'm so disappointed by this because I feel like but there's people out there who are going to absolutely love it, and that's okay. Like, I mean, fine if you're going to go down this narrative of this is the Boba Fett that you want, and these are the cool things. It's like I love, great that he beat Cad Bane. That's kind of cool, but it still felt a little weak. You know, it still felt a little weak. Like it's not that it was weak or that he shouldn't have won. I'm like, no, he should have. He should have had that face off. He should have done it. It just felt weak. You know, did we need to have the Mandalorian come in and help Boba Fett? It would have made him stronger if he didn't.
That's my biggest fucking problem is that they lose their bottle for 2 episodes out of the season and go to an entirely different thing, which then any fucking hate that you've built up on Boba is completely spent. So by the end of it, you've got him and Mando back to back fighting things, and you're just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean,
it's 2 episodes they could have dedicated to Boba Fett and actually, you know, build his credibility in the town to make people want to fight for him.
Yeah. Or built the story, or, you know, built the anything that was about him.
Yeah.
It's just so
it's so
weird,
strange.
and I'm assuming that it has to have come from them looking at the acting or something and going, fuck, we cannot hang a series on Tam. I mean,
but I mean, like, honestly, I don't think it's hanging a series on Tem. Tem can act when given the script and the motivation, the understanding of the world Bible and everything that you would need to form a full character to go, this is why you're doing this. And anyone can act it with the understanding and they know what the character's doing. This is why I say it felt like it did not have a script. It had a series of great like ideas in a writer's room and emotions and feelings. And then it's like, so what do I, like, what's my line here? It's like, oh, we'll fill that in later. We'll tell you on the day. Like, here's your line. Your line is this. And that's why I feel exactly the same as you've both been saying. Is like, yeah, Ming-Na Wen, it doesn't know what she's doing. She's just delivering the lines. But she has no real drive or reason why, except, you know, at some points they've got a really clear idea, you know. They filmed that original scene where he walks in and shoots Bib Fortuna. And they know that. It's like, now you're going to look cool and you're going to sit here and you're going to be a crime lord. Great. All right. I got that. No problem. I can look intimidating. We can make this work. And then when it's like, oh, you're going to go and hire this, you know, scooter gang of kids. I'm what?
Yeah.
Okay. Wouldn't Boba Fett shoot that guy?
There's a whole bunch of scenes where Tem was, you know, acting with the Rancor and, you know, being all like, oh, I think he likes it. Yeah, you like that, don't you, big boy?
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as Karina says, in episode 2 with all the Tusken stuff, and you know where he's getting the gaffy stick, he really
I liked all that
He
Tusken.
he looked like he was comfortable with it.
Yeah.
It was talking to his moldy stuff. It was allowing him to do stuff that, you know, is reminiscent of once were warriors and shit like that. You know, it's giving him good shit to do.
And then got rid of
he's
him.
chasing a fucking rat catcher droid.
Yeah, it's like it's really tonally different. And that makes me sad. Like, I mean, I love that Tim's like interviews earlier, you know, prior to this season coming out, and he's just like, oh yeah, I reckon I can find a place in different roles within the Star Wars universe. I could play Commander Cody. I could play, you know, Captain Rex. Like, all of those things, and I was kind of like, yeah, like, yeah, I could play the Bad Batch, like, it's
Yeah.
I'm down for that if you're given those different personalities. It's like, this is this version of you, this is this version of you, this is this version, and I think he could do it. Like, I would love to see him as Captain Cody or like Commander Cody or something in the Obi-Wan series. Be amazing.
Yeah.
But as Boba Fett, I think they've either fundamentally misunderstood why Boba Fett does what he does, or they absolutely know what they wanted to represent. They just got mistranslated across the way because there's external forces.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh well. Now we have a wait until May 25th.
Yes.
So we can, and I mean, one day soon we'll probably get a trailer.
I hope that we get a trailer.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, we'll get a trailer. Well, I mean, hey, look out!
Oh no,
for
we get that for fucking whatchamacallit, don't we? The Super Bowl.
Superb
Yeah,
Owl.
Super Bowl trailer.
Is it? Was it on that list of things? Yeah, don't forget.
I believe so.
I
Was
don't
it-
know. I was just all about that Minions movie, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
I could see you getting
fucking
excited about that, Jill.
love
I was kind of like,
Minions.
Sonic the Hedgehog
Can't
2
wait for that
trailer is
Minions
coming out.
trailer.
And I got to actually admit, like, did anyone end up watching Sonic the Hedgehog the movie?
I did.
It's
I
not
did. I
bad.
enjoyed it.
It wasn't terrible, actually.
Yeah, like
not-
I'm waiting to see what this is.
And
But
not just, sorry, May 25th, but Bad Batch Season 2 is on the May 4th.
Yes, and before that,
Yes.
we've still got Moon Knight.
Very nice.
Yeah,
I do
what
love
about
that
Star Wars?
they're doing everything that they can to try and make sure that nobody ever lets go of their Disney Plus subscription.
yeah, well, I mean, hey, this is where all the content is coming from and the stuff that you want. I'm looking forward to seeing Moon Knight. I'm looking forward to seeing Bad Batch Season 2. I'm very excited that they released they announced, they haven't released, but they announced the toy of the client from The Mandalorian. Do it, you cowards! I would like to see the baby. That's all I want it for. Just so I can do that. And I'm looking forward to all those kind of things. I'm still really looking forward to season 3 of The Mandalorian. I want to see, baby Grogu and Dad flying around in their space
Oh
fighter.
my God, can we please get Grogu's first word in Season 3?
Can it just be normal
would
so he doesn't talk backwards
Yeah.
like
I
Yoda?
would love that.
Where he just goes, Dada.
Oh, no.
Oh.
no, that's kind of gross.
That's like a 50-year-old man saying Dada. Because remember, he is
Yeah.
50.
Yeah, there's that whole weird he's a 50-year-old thing is really going to be a problem sometime.
Yeah. I mean, look, honestly, I'm holding out hope that that Obi-Wan will be good. I'm not sure. As long as they get off Tatooine.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Um,
I mean, it makes no sense for him to leave Tatooine canonically, but fuck, I'd like to see him get off it.
Yeah, I'd like to see him get off Tatooine. I think it's definitely needed that Obi-Wan can't hang around Tatooine all the time because he is still wanted by the Empire. I kind of want to see him a bit men on the run, and the reason that he gets to hang out in Tatooine is because he keeps putting himself out as a Jedi in other planets, so it throws them off the scent rather than being seen on Tatooine.
yeah, so like Tatooine is the last destination.
Yeah, like
He burns through all his covers on the other planets and then
Yeah.
has to hide.
It's like the Saint, but the different
I'd
different
fucking
beards.
I'd love it if they went like they doubled down on that and they basically
Born
established
identity, just like
canonically
that Obi-Wan identity.
that Obi-Wan never used his lightsaber on Tatooine until he went to the Cantina on Mos Eisley. Like that
That'd be
would
kinda
be
cool.
like it's kind of like, oh, he could easily ignite his lightsaber and fight his way out of this, but he can't because it would blow
He would
his
tell
cover
people that there was a Jedi.
on Tatooine.
Ah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Hmm.
thanks so much. I feel much more relieved now.
You've got all that off your chest?
Yes. I feel like I've got it all off now, and I don't know if people agree with me, and or us, or there's more things that I can learn. I don't know if
But
anyone
yes.
does anyone want to see Boba Fett season 2?
Kind of.
I
don't know.
don't.
Uh,
I think
I-
the Book of Boba Fett is finished.
I
It's a-
mean, just put them back into the other shows. as,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
cameos.
He's like, it's in the end, it's not really a book. It's like a Penny Dreadful novel.
It is a pull a phone number off a telegraph.
Yeah. Have an adventure.
The
and
flyer
then
of
fuck off
Boba
and never
Fett.
call him back.
Yeah. But thanks everyone, and thanks for joining in. Yes, thank you for my therapy session. Just Angela, yes, got it all off my chest now.
Hope everyone has a wonderful weekend.
Yeah.
Sure.
Rip it up. Have a wonderful time.
Yep.
And we'll be back on Tuesday. We're talking about the the legend of Vox Machina.
Vox Machina. How many? Is there another episode out? It should be one out
There's
tonight.
another 3 episodes out.
3.
Oh,
Yeah,
I got up to
Holy
episode
shit.
6 and I'm like, wait, why did it stop?
Because they're doing 3 episodes a week.
Oh, I just hope they do some D&D shit this time.
Dum dum da dum.
Oh, is
Right.
that also something you absolutely loved when they finally put the lyrics into this music?
Fuck that. I'm out.
Oh, Boba Bob.
Boba Fett. Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Humdrum, Boba Fett.
I love that someone sitting there going,
Boba
I just
Fett.
don't know what show this is. Well, I say that's it. That's your homework for everyone in the chat or listening to this one. I want you to write lyrics for all of the John Williams Star Wars music, please. Write me a lyric for the Mandalorian theme.
You mean the Ludwig Göransson?
Sure.
No, it's not the.
He's
All of it,
sad
all of
and
it.
looking at the sun. He's sad and looking to the sun.
Can
He's
you read
sad-
my mind?
Oh,
My Grogu's theme. It's like, can you read my
Oh, God.
mind? I'm a young Jedi. Anyway, I'm out of it.
Anyway, we have
All
gone
right.
too long.
Thank you, everyone. We're gonna go. Bye.
I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not sit here counting zeros in a cubicle downtown. I wanna look out my window, see 'em flying, and swing across the horizon as I cheer 'em on so proud. See, powered girl keeps staring at her face, and call Colossus and have him teach me ways, and then we'd exercise. I'd be one of the guys. And martial arts from Iron Fist and Wall. I'll dance her up and teach her all my songs. Oh, I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not cooking up these heroes at my parents' restaurant now. I wanna yell out Avengers assemble, not order up for Ethel. Yeah, we're out of Kiki now. Date Emma Frost and have her read my mind. Or Magdalena, her artifacts I find, and then we catch a symphony. It'll just be her and me. Call Bucky Barnes and arm wrestle for hours. There's NMA and bring her